Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Nick family. Welcome to the Just Nick and Nick Weekly Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, aka Queen. And usually I would say we have a lot to talk about, but tonight we're paring it down. And we're talking about the rumors that the Knicks are considering, or at least have had talks. Who knows what that means? That could mean that one team called the Knicks to inquire about Mitchell Robinson or Mikal Bridges, and now all of a sudden the Knicks are considering trading them. But both of them are up for extensions, and we know the Knicks' history that if they cannot come to a favorable extension, they usually trade the player. They don't go into the season messing around. They don't risk going into free agency. They usually act swiftly, either if they know they don't want to resign the person, or they do, but they don't think that, the sides are far apart. They usually trade them. And so it's possible that they are considering it, depending on how extension talks go. So we're going to talk about that tonight, whether or not we would trade Mikal Bridges or Mitchell Robinson. Who would we trade them for? Do we have adequate backups on the roster right now? What would that mean? Would we trade them directly, center for center, shooting guard for shooting guard? Or would we trade them for something else because we believe we have their replacement on the bench already? And then another consideration, at least for me, is would you trade Bridges just for depth? Because the Knicks are top heavy, even if you believe in him, which I do, and I don't think he's at his ceiling. But you look at the Knicks' top four players, then you got Hart coming off the bench. Hopefully, you're like, do you really need to be that top heavy given to this CBA unless you're able to find minimum players that really play well for you? It may be best to kind of thin it out and build some depth. So we'll talk about that as well. Jeff from the Happily Ever Clafter Daily Sports blog, who I've been reading because now I set it up where it comes directly to my email. I don't have to go searching for it. Great job, Jeff. Very thought-provoking pieces, but I think also your style of writing is just very engaging and fun and light, but at the same time, really, hitting, getting to the point that you're trying to make. And so, yeah, very good writer. The link is in the description as always. Check him out. It comes out pretty much mostly every day. It's not always Nick related, but a good part of it is.
I have a big series out on Patrick Ewing compared to the other greats of the franchise. I just finished writing the chapter 7 of it, which is the last today, and it'll come out Saturday because I'm a day ahead. Because my oldest son is a Spurs fan, and he squeezed an article in there, but he's the one who came up with the idea for the blog. So you got to give him his props and his due, and he's a much better writer than I am. So. I don't mind that, and it's a pretty.
That's saying a lot, Jeff. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's pretty funny. He's a sharp kid. He's going to law school for a reason, so he's like his mama. Neither one of them's ever lost an argument. That's pretty impressive.
I hear you. Shout out to the chat, Andrew K, Mikal B, P, Miguel P, Kerry Cox. Hello, Kerry Cox on Deals NYK. Appreciate you, David G. Dripmore.
Oh, hey.
All right. Jeff, let's get right into it. Let's start with Bridges because I know Mitch is a favorite of yours. So we're gonna ease into Mitch, right? So we're gonna do Bridges first. Would you sign him to an extension? We'll get into the weeds of this, but just overall, would you sign him to an extension or would you look to trade him?
I would sign him to an extension. I don't think I would sign him to the max extension he's eligible for. Now, I don't know if he would accept that deal or not, but I think his willingness to negotiate on that will determine whether he's here or whether he's not. Personally, I don't think his performance last season merited a full 4-year, $156 million or whatever it is that I think that's the 156 sounds right to me. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. I know we got a lot of folks who know what they're doing and know the contract stuff better than I do. But so I don't think I would go for 156. I think the Knicks have a number in mind. I don't know what that number is, but I think that if Mikal doesn't like that number, he better look for a new number, as in another area code, because they're going to ship him off. I mean, that's just what they do. And the Knicks are very particular about their extensions, and they're very sharp typically with not only who they give their extensions to, but the length of the deal and the value of the deal. If you think about guys like Deuce McBride, brilliant extension there. He makes well below his market value, in my opinion. I think if you look at the Jalen Brunson extension, I think it's terrific. I thought the Julius Randle extension, and now obviously we didn't come to agreement the second time, but that first extension was actually got him at a pretty good number. And when we were so far apart that they weren't even negotiating, I mean, welcome to New York, Karl Anthony Towns, right? And so, but I think there's a lot of examples of the Knicks crafting good contracts on these extensions that are both flexible and usually below market value. So,
right. Let me ask you this though. He's only been here 1 year. So you think that the Knicks should base that extension on that 1 year, or on what they think is possible for Mikal Bridges, just his talent, what they've seen from him throughout his career, what they think is possible for him, maybe in a different role with a different coach, or they should base it just on last year's performance?
That's a fantastic question. And I guess my answer to it would be this. I mean, if they're making a judgment on Bridges now. I mean, because if you ink him to that extension, I think you're locking yourself in to this core for, the next 3 years, basically, in my opinion, because I don't know that the Bridges deal at that money is going to be all that attractive to other teams as far as in a trade. So I think you have to be all in on that player in order to sign him to the max extension. Now, may be the right choice. I don't know. I just, the Knicks are very big on cost certainty, and they're very big on value contracts. And so if it's something that's going to for sure push them over the second apron by a large margin, I'm not sure how comfortable that they are in doing that. But at the same time, I don't think they're going to get rid of him unless I don't think they're going to just get rid of him. I think they're going to make a trade that improves the roster for a specific talent that they're targeting, that says, okay, this is a person that fits. I'll give you an example. Like Emmanuel Quickly was traded along with RJ Barrett. Both of guys, one got extended, the other one we couldn't come to an extension agreement, so he got dealt for someone we really wanted in OG Anunoby. And so I actually think that the Knicks don't deal Bridges unless they consider it an upgrade. I don't think they're going to trade him for depth pieces. I just don't think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that they're going to do that. I think you might see, just my opinion, you might see both Robinson and Bridges go together in a package, because then you're talking about probably $34 million. And then, you can probably come closer to the level or the layer of value of player that I think that they would be wanting to bring in if they were going to deal those guys.
Yeah, this is what I'll say, and then I'll let AD on. He's back backstage. Actually, AD, if you turn your camera on, I can let you on while I'm talking. I will say this though, I get it that in terms of the Knicks not wanting to max out, and they're trying and they want salute, brother. How are you?
Salute.
They want to get value contracts, but look, they want to sign them to a value extension. They're the one that went out and traded for Bridges and gave up 5 picks for him. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like, quickly grew up and in our system and you like, man, we got Brunson. Do I want to give him that type of? You traded for Mikal Bridges. You gave up 5 picks because you felt like he fit this team like a glove. Now, I don't believe they gave up 5 picks because they felt like in a vacuum, he was worth 5 first-round picks. But they were thinking in terms of where this team was, what they needed on either side of Brunson. For that reason, yeah, we will, we'll sign him. So we'll give up that capital. So Bridges has been in this league for a long time. Like, it's not like last year is the only year that he has, the only stats that we have on Bridges is, the Knicks know who he is, what he's capable, of. So I think it's kind of disingenuous, and that's between him and his camp for them to say, we're not going to give you the full max because you had a down, a down year. Because you can't say because we didn't believe in you, because you gave up. You gave up a lot of capital, so you believed in him. He had a down year, and a down year is 18 points, 3.2 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 5% from the field. In the playoffs, just 16 points. Did bring his rebounding up 4.5, 3 assists, shot 45% from the field, lower than the regular season, and just 33.3% from 3-point range, which is just not going to cut it. So I have mixed feelings on the extension because I feel like the Knicks are too top heavy. That would be my only where I would be like, okay, all right, if the Knicks want to, they want to build depth. They don't want to be so top heavy. They got OG, they got Brunson, they got Towns, they got Hart coming off the bench. We need a little more depth. We're not going to sign Bridges. We're going to trade for depth pieces. Okay. But to just not sign him to an extension or a max extension because he had a bad year? I don't know. That part I don't know about. AD, how you doing?
As you can see, I'm in black. I'm still in mourning. I'm dead serious. I'm not even joking. Salute to you, Knicks fans. Jeff, what's going on? Steph, you know how much I'm a big fan of the show.
Appreciate you.
But yes, that's what this is. It's morning right now. We're still, it's like we don't have grave diggers. There's no one to put the bodies away. We're just kind of just open air in the funeral, just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Mitch can definitely go for me.
We didn't get to Mitch yet.
I'm sorry. Are we going in order? Is it
order? So,
okay.
Mikal, would you sign him to we're going to start overall, then we're going to get into the weeds of it. Would you sign him to an extension, or would you?
You have to.
Okay, trading him.
You have to. You just really have to. You gave up 5 plus 2 for 1 to take a chance and let things go awry by not signing him. Even if you don't like him, okay? Because we just saw the situation with Tibbs. They gave Tibbs a 4-year contract. They jettisoned him when they thought that he was no longer useful. Mm-hmm. So even if you find that he's not what you want going long term, and if you sign him now, I don't know the particulars of the contract. You can't trade him until the trading deadline, 5-6 months into the season or something like that, whatever. Even if that's going to be the case, then that has to be the case.
So you would trade him only because of what they gave up for him?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is a marriage until it's not.
Okay. So you don't think that do you see it? Let's just say the Knicks feel like they're wrong. Felt like, you know what, this is what I thought Mikal Bridges would do for us. It's only been one season, but let's just say they said, you know what, we made a mistake. You think they should double down on that mistake by signing him to an extension, or do you even consider that doubling down?
At that point, it is doubling down. But it's, and I hate using this word, but he's your property. Okay? It really doesn't, like, for instance, if you didn't, then what do you do?
Trade him. You would have to trade him. Like, you can't just
Okay.
have him play out next season and go into.
But what if you're not getting what you want from him? For him, excuse me.
Yeah.
If you're not getting what you want for him, do you just trade him just because? Just because the fan base is making some noise? Just because there's people in the house, it's a divided house, and some people, want him out, some people don't? This is what you have going on now. Okay? Just to calm the waters. Yeah. Didn't we have 4 Nova Knicks at this time last year?
Yeah.
How did we start the season?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So, yes, even if it's not my long-term plan, yes, you committed, you traded 7. I don't think in our team's history did we ever make such a big move. No.
Yeah.
So, yes, you have to sign him.
Your thoughts on that, Jeff? Would the draft capital you gave up come into play?
Well, first of all, that's a sunk cost. Like, the draft capital is gone. There's nothing you can do about it. It's a sunk cost. It's already been paid. You can't let that affect the lens of what you're going to do moving forward. You still need to make whatever decision that you feel is best for your basketball team. Nothing's going to bring those picks back, so you just have to let them go and move on. So the question is, to use an economics term, marginal utility, right? Are we going to get more from an extension from Mikal than we would in the trade market for what we feel like we can get for him now? And I think you could get a good player for Bridges if you wanted to deal him. And that's how you have to look at it moving forward. I know what we paid, but that expense is already paid. Like, if I paid full price for a car and it devalues, immediately after I drive it off the lot, I'm probably not going to be able to, recoup all the value that I could if I try and sell that car. Right. And so I hate to do I'm not trying to insinuate that Bridges is a clunker here. That's not what I'm trying to say. I think he's a good player. I think there's a possibility that with a new coach and a more defined role, or whatever you want to call it, that he could not just survive but thrive here at MSG. He's a very talented player, but to me, he didn't do a lot of the things that we really needed him to do from that position. Notably, his defense at the point of attack was substandard and disappointing compared to my expectations. Maybe that's what he's always been, but this team needed him to be better in that function. And the other is hitting the corner 3, which, is something that he's done very well throughout his career, but he changed his form in the offseason, and he was just not the same from shooting the 3-point shot all season long. And I think that really hurt us as an offense. And some of it was, one of the things that I think we can take stock on is that from about January on, actually all season, our shot diet changed from the previous season. We were taking a lot more contested 2s and long 2s, a lot fewer 3-point shots. And so our effective field goal percentage was a lot lower, especially after January 1st, than it even was in seasons past. And so, is that Thibodeau's fault for a lack of offense? Is that, he's injuries? Is that pieces not fitting together? Probably D, all of the above, right? If you want to if you want to be real with it. And so I'm not saying, yes, we definitely have to get rid of Bridges. I'm just saying that if they're not comfortable or if they can't come to an agreement on the extension that they want, expect that he's going to be out the door. That's how I would put it.
It's AD. Is it too soon to give up? It's 1 year. You know, is it too soon to give up on? Let's just say, let's forget the draft compensation. Let's take that out of it. Let's just say what we gave up was reasonable. Is 1 year enough time to give up on a player that you traded for?
For this type of a player, no. But things changed when they fired Thibodeau. I mean, things just really just changed. Things changed when all of a sudden 2 more guys got Achilles injuries.
Mm-hmm.
It really just did. I hate to be that simplistic of the view, but that's what happened. When you remove Tom, you have to have the expectation that whoever's going to be your new coach is going to have a bit of, you know, this is what I need coming in. This is what I think, or better yet, when I get here, when you sit me down, this is what I think of each and every player.
Mm-hmm.
This is the system that I hope to run. Who fits in this system? Who legitimately can get me what I need for my system? You don't just flip $50 million contracts that easy. Okay? Brunson isn't going anywhere. Right? So in order now to get better, if you think from this core you have to change it around, who is now going to be left as your hanging fruit? It's one of 3 guys, maybe 4. You understand what I'm saying? So in my mind's eye, no, it's too soon. But all of a sudden the canvas has changed. You know, you don't know what Milwaukee's doing with Greek Freak. Can you really just pack up and go home with Greek Freak still out on vacation? No! You really don't know. So in a perfect world, no, let's wait another year, let's another piece, and I get all that. But you couldn't foresee all of what happened in the last 2 months or month and a half.
So you saying that to take advantage of this opportunity, trading Bridges is the best way to improve?
If an opportunity comes around that you're going to be better, that you feel that you're going to be better after the trade, then you, as Jeff said, you can't think about what you gave up for him where that's already done.
Right.
But if you have an opportunity, you really feel this new coach is saying, hey, love that Nas Reed. Okay? I would really love to bring him in here. You're going to have to take some of his input. Not that you're going to say, well, okay, we're just going to run and do whatever. We're just going to pull up what we have.
Right.
But the path to the finals has gotten less muddy in the last month. It really has.
Do you think, and then Jeff, you can answer this as well, are you trading him for another starter? Or are you trading him for, like, you can argue he was the 3rd option. Maybe between him and OG, they went back between the 3rd option. Are you trading him for a 3rd option, or are you trading him for just another starter and a depth piece? Like, what would you think would be a good haul or good player or position of players to bring back from Mikal Bridges? All right, Jeff, you can.
Oh, that's a good question. You know, I think I would want someone who is on par with Bridges, but maybe brings a little bit of a different skill set to the table. Maybe does a lot of the things that Bridges does, but is more complimentary, shoots the three a little bit better, guards guards a little bit better. Maybe someone who's a little bit more physical than Bridges is. I'm not like in a hurry to get rid of Mikal by any stretch of the imagination. I actually think that if you insert a two who defends the point of attack well into our starting lineup and you have Bridges at the three, I think that's a configuration that works very well. And I think it's sharp and I think it's smart. So I don't think that you have to get rid of Bridges by any stretch of the imagination. But if you can't come to the agreement on the extension that you like and that you want, and as far as team building is concerned, then I think you need to take a look at what's out there. But I don't think we just need to be like trade Bridges at all costs by any stretch of the imagination. AD hit the nail on the head a minute ago, though. If you're looking to improve this roster, there are limited avenues to do it. And Bridges, Mitch, and Josh Hart are probably the three pieces that you're talking about if you're going to make a move, whether it's lateral or a combination of players that gets you in a better player, whatever the case may be. It's just, I don't think Brunson is going anywhere unless it's a Giannis deal. I don't think Cat is going anywhere. So, and I don't think that's happening. And I don't want to start that rumor mill. I mean, right. I don't believe that's happening. So I think those two guys, or two All-NBA guys, are staying. And I don't think OG is going anywhere either. So, I could be wrong about that. There is a world where you could move him and get a significant salary back. That's possible too. So if you want to put him on the list, okay, go ahead. But, it's somewhere in those four.
AD? What type of player?
It's dangerous for us as Knicks fans to really fall in love with, for me, it's just JB for me. Everybody else can go. But it's dangerous for us to fall in love with certain kind of player because we have to understand in order to get better, you have to get something. To get something. We can't, when I hear people talk about the team and possible acquisitions, whatever, you're never hearing about who are you really comfortable in letting go. We're just not going to get, a key free agent piece that won't take us over the second chef apron or whatever, without some kind of pain. Right. You understand?
If there ain't no pain, and that's not a player you should be wanting, looking at anyway. Right?
I've mentioned this before with Dirk and Dallas. Dallas flipped the team so many times around Dirk, you would have thought they just hated everybody. But it just wasn't working. And some of these players were Hall of Famers. Nash.
And then once it was working and once it did work, they broke it up the very next offseason. Like they didn't even wait. Like they won the championship and they tore it down. Like they
understood because
traded
Dirk
Tyson Chandler and they signed Brandon Malone or something like that. I don't remember that.
Well, they understood because Dirk was still sipping in the champagne because he had so many different players over the last 10, 11 years. So Dirk had kind of exhaled and, they're bringing in Dennis Rodman for 10 games or whatever it was. So they won their chip. They really didn't care anymore. This is a different thing here. If we see Brunson as the guy, the lead to pull this ship forward, you're going to make some maneuvers. You're going to keep trying a little bit over these next 2 or 3 years just because he's still in his prime. And if you believe that he's the guy or one of the guys, you understand? We can't get attached to this. You mentioned about Bridges, if you got a 2, then Bridges can slide. Here's still our main problem that I tried to push this thing last August after we got Cat or last September. Who's going to be the 4?
Who's rebounding? A 4 that can rebound the basketball.
Josh Hart out rebounded OG and Bridges by himself.
Facts. And that doesn't change if you move Bridges to the 3 and OG to the 4. That doesn't change the rebounding at all, unless this 2 is a great 3-point shooter and rebounder.
It's the reason why part of it, and I don't want to, go that far into, but it's the reason why his defense is worse than it was the previous year. You needed more of him. You needed more of his body, Eva Knievel, throwing in there to get the rebounds, and that's going to leave you what? It's going to leave you in that mellow quagmire sometimes where you're not guarding the guy as close as you're supposed to because you have to have 1 foot in the lane, 1 foot on the other side to see if the rebound, so you have to go throw yourself. Why? Because he's better than the 2 wings that you have for that.
Yeah.
Queen, I need 30 seconds.
Say that again? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Wow, yeah, that's a good point. The reason we're not talking about Josh Hart, and we can talk about him later, is I'm just piggyback off of the supposed reports that were in the media of the Knicks being open to or considering trading Bridges and Mitchell Robinson, because both of them are up for an extension. To me, I don't think the Knicks need another star. Unless you're gonna get, they don't need another star, in my opinion, to go with Cat and Brunson. Like, I don't see that they need to put Mitchell Robinson, Hart, Bridges, or any combination of those 3 to go out and get another star. How many stars you need? With this new CBA, you got two really, really good players, and then after that, unless you're going to be a top-heavy team like the Knicks and not have a lot of depth. So I'm not looking for the Knicks to put together a package to bring in another star. I don't think the Knicks need another star. I think the Knicks need to fill out their depth a little bit, and they need to have players that perform and when it's time to perform, right? That's a whole other story. So if the Knicks were interested in trading Bridges, I don't know if we can get him, but I would be okay with Naz, with Naz Reid again. But you also have to keep in mind that one move creates another move. You know what I mean? So now you trade in Bridges, you're going to bring in Naz Reid, let's just say, hypothetical, to play the 4. Now OG moves to the 3. Who's the 2?
Deuce.
Yeah. So okay. So now you got to bring Deuce off the bench and put him in the starting lineup. You understand what I'm saying? So the Knicks, I'm not. And listen, maybe Deuce will be a better shooter next year. He didn't have a great shooting year this year. Maybe next year he'll be better. Like I said, I have mixed feelings. I want him back. I want him to sign the extension. I want him to be on the Knicks next season. But at the same time, I really want the Knicks to have more depth. And the only reason you have more depth is to get rid of one of those top 4 players. I'm not sure how much depth you're getting from Hart. Like, I'm not sure Josh Hart is somebody that you could trade for two players on your
But if you get someone who can start and you can move Hart to the bench, that could become your depth, right?
Exactly. But I mean, just trading Hart for depth.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
I get what you're saying. Absolutely. If you can bring somebody else in and move him to, that helps. But even then, let's just say we're able to do that. For some reason, we're able to bring in another starting move. So your depth on the bench is Hart and Deuce McBride. Because you're going to have to give up something to get whoever this person is that you're bringing in to play the power forward position.
They're like mismatched socks.
Say that again?
They're like mismatched socks. Because do you really want to see Deuce and JB on the floor together for long stretches of the time?
I don't, but people will
They're
tell you that.
6 feet. Don't get me wrong. They were nice moments. We've seen nice moments throughout the year, even in playoffs at times. They're both 6 feet guards. Then we're going to be asking ourselves again, like, we can't stop anybody because they're 6 feet tall. But this is what you do when this is going to be the result when you do something like when you already know what the issues are going to be. When you trade for a cat, and I'm not going to veer too far, step. When you trade for a cat with a defensive-minded coach, you don't think he knows what the problems he's facing without Mitch for 3/4 of a season? Everything he does is a Band-Aid until he gets who he thinks is supposed to help fortify this situation right here. You think he was surprised that Cat can't rotate fast enough to even put up an arm? He coached him before. You understand what I'm saying? It's like they have a situation where they have to make a decision. We need to be correct. We need to fix some of these things and stop being mismatched and hope and say, well, the land is clear even more. We really don't even need to do much. See, going into last year, look at the bench. You signed Campaign to afterthought when everybody else was gone. It's like, oh, we need somebody else in the backcourt. He has championship experience. He played on a team that went to the finals. Obviously, he's going to be it. You got Kolick, Dadier, whoever else. It's a bench. You got young guys. We don't know what their potential could have been and so forth, but what did they add to a team that was looking to go to a championship? Whether us as the fans who believed they were ready for a championship, obviously what management said on Tibbs on the way out, they believed that they had a championship squad.
Right. Yeah.
So we just have to be able to get and just say, we got to fix some of these problems. Some of them are going to be painful. It's not going to look right, once we get it all out there. But guess what? It'll be better in the long run. A real backup. Not Sims.
Right. Right. So I take it that you're of the school of thought that there was some roster construction issues with this team.
Absolutely. And when you're going for a championship, you've got Brunson 27-28, Cat 28-29-30, OG 26, Bridges 27. These guys are smack dab into their primes. You draft guys and got guys on a holdover who the coach had no use for. Go back to last year's against Indiana when all the bigs were depleted. And Tibbs turns to Sims with lonely eyes. Get in there, guy. Get in there, guy. 30 seconds later, get out of there, guy. Get out of there.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing this to you. Let the lesson to your coach if you're really going for it. There's going to be times when you have to push it. You got to push it all in and worry about later. For me, those picks, those young guys sitting on the bench was a time to go,
Yeah. I just want to say the Knicks picked, what's his name? What? Yeah, they're showing the highlights, but are they on the clock? Sorry, New York is on the clock. A minute, 8 seconds. Listen,
with the 50th pick.
With the 50th pick, exactly. AD, I'm with you. I get a lot of pushback in the chat when it comes to playing young guys. I just feel like that window, in my opinion, has closed for the Knicks. I do feel like you need to have some good talent on the back of the bench that you're developing. But if you're serious about winning a championship, you're trying to lock down all of these positions with guys who have NBA experience. Look at the playoffs we played against Indiana. Would you feel comfortable with any of those guys that we drafted playing in that series? I wouldn't. So when we're talking about trading, if they do decide to trade Mikal Bridges, trading him for depth, well, that's what I'm saying. If you do trade him because he doesn't agree to an extension, I'm saying trade him for depth, because the Knicks, OG, Cat, and Brunson is enough up top. You need those depth pieces, because when you get into the playoffs, you want to have as many players as you can who have NBA experience and hopefully playoff experience. And right now on our bench, we got Bridget, we got McBride and Mitch, both of them who have playoff experience as well. But behind them, right now, nothing.
I think the idea behind those 4 players is that, given a year, possibly 2, a year, let's say a year of experience, that maybe that they're closer to, at least not all of them, but at least one of them. You kind of need to hit on somebody like that in the modern CBA. I think you do have to stockpile second-round picks and kind of hope that you strike, not all-star gold, but strike, you find a rotation player in and around that. And so, I think that you kind of have to figure that part out. But the cold reality of it is that unless we're going to bring in Landry Shamet type players, like 2 or 3 of them, to fill out the, we don't have much second apron room. So you can get 2 or 3 of those guys, but that they're going to be the same caliber player in all likelihood. So you're right back at square one. So,
which is why I'm saying, if you trade one, I wouldn't trade OG, but if the Knicks are top heavy for some quality depth. Otherwise, you're right. You're going to be looking at signing minimum players to fill out the back of your roster and hope that you get something from him. I just want to answer Juan B, who said a team full of young guys just won a championship. It's not about you. Those guys have experience, though, or at least the main guys have experience. And these young guys are talented young guys. These guys are not rookies. These guys are not rookies or second-year players. So maybe young guys is not the right term. There's a difference between a Kolek and a Daddier and a Jalen Williams and a Chet. Even though Chet has only been in the league for 2-3 years, he was a top 2, top 3 draft pick. You can't compare that to Kolek in the second round, Daddier, who's still raw, that the Knicks got at 14. This is different caliber of players. Everybody is talking about, but they're young. But what's the caliber? What's the talent level, though? So if Chat was coming off our bench, you think I would be sitting here saying, "Oh, but he's a young player"? He's a top 3 pick. The Knicks don't have those type of players on their bench. The Knicks have players that need more development before you can count on them. Can they give you spot minutes? Absolutely, they can. But if you're trying to win a championship, are you comfortable with Huck Porty? Let's say they trade Mitch, and we're going to get into this next. Would you be comfortable going into basically it's championship or bust? They fired Tom Thibodeau, basically saying we don't think he's the guy that's going to win us, take us to a championship. We need a championship level coach. We need a coach that's going to take us the rest of the way now. And you're in an Eastern Conference where Miami is dealing with injuries, Indiana is dealing with injuries, Boston is dealing with. So basically, you can say this is championship or bust this season coming up right now. You comfortable with Huck Porty backing up Towns and Kolek backing up Brunson? You comfortable with that in terms of winning a chip this season coming? So there's a difference between being young and like 4 or 5 years in the league and you're still young, and being in the league for 2 years and you were a second round draft. Like that to me, Um, that's a difference.
It's totally different. You're looking at who's in front of Sam Presti every day bothering him about a story. You think if Sam Presti didn't spoke to the media for the next 5 years, anyone would care? Like, do you think there's going to be a witch hunt? You're not talking to us. No. He just sat there over the last 12, 13 years, continued to stockpile picks, watch what other teams were doing, taking advantage, and you know what? Picking the right guys. So when you hear that he has a treasure chest of picks, and him and his team are making the picks, you can sit back and go, yeah, I'm comfortable. It's not the same way with the Knicks. All our key pieces came through acquisition.
Right.
Who's the top young guy on our team that we drafted? Nick Barati.
Mitchell Robinson.
I'm sorry.
Got him.
I think I'll take Deuce Sulovich. Think I think your best ability is availability, right? Is that what they say?
Amen. Preach.
So it's a whole different game when we try and comparing another team's roster to our team's roster and how they, people just. This is not Marxism basketball. Everybody doesn't get to play. There's no participation award because you played 10 guys, 11 guys throughout the year. In the finals, or in the most important games of your life. Did Tom Thibodeau make a couple of moves in that last playoff game that looked like desperation of things that he could have done throughout the year? I'm not even going to argue that point. I'll give it to you, right? But 9 times out of 10, you're going to play your best soldiers at the end, right? Because they did the legwork, the heavy legwork. What would it look like if Patrick Ewing came out in the middle of the season and said, you know what, he's averaging 38 minutes a game. This just can't work anymore.
First of all, he never would have said that. He'd have played.
Never would have said that. He couldn't have said that. We would have marched him out of. We're still talking about a missed finger roll with a man with a calf sheath on, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Before I move on to Mitch, I just have a last question about Bridges. What do you think his optimal role is on this team, or was the role this year it, and he just didn't perform it as well as we thought? Jeff?
Well, I think I kind of covered what I thought his role should have been with the, defensively and shooting corner threes. I think those are some of his strengths. But I think part of the problem too is he's such a good mid-range shooter, like especially on that fadeaway. Mm-hmm. But that's all he does, and so he's not creating an advantage with that shot, because everybody knows you don't have to move anywhere or go anywhere. Dude's shooting the fadeaway. Like, they have film on him. They know what's coming. Like, Bridges gets the ball 11 feet away. Here comes the fadeaway. You don't have to worry about him going to the basket, trying to draw a foul. You can pretty much just rebound and hope he misses. I mean, he doesn't miss too many of them, but I mean, but he so from that standpoint, I think he's got to be more varied in what he does offensively. Like, he's got to change things up, be less predictable. He's got to make more 3-pointers. Like, we need him to be a quality shooter from out there, and especially on catch and shoot opportunities, because if we generate those, that those are the best shots that you can get. And so we need him to do more of those things. And if he can fill that role, then I think he's fine. But defensively, his point of attack defense is not good enough to be put on the Halliburtons and Halliburton's not going to play next year, but those elite guards, he can't stay in front of them. He can't stay with them. He's a great help defender. He did a good job of fighting through screens at times. He has his moments where he's really superb, but he's just not been consistent enough as far as I'm concerned.
AD, what do you think his optimal role is?
I think I'm there with Jeff. It's they got him here to be that number 2B, the help with getting them in offense, the quick shot. He seems to like his shot much quicker than what the offense will dictate sometimes. Sometimes you just see him just sprinting down just to get into that position, to get that quick catch and shoot. And it's like he's trying to get himself within that frame of mind and that position. Okay. In the playoffs, some things really rear their ugly head with him. And Jeff touched on it. You're fading on 5 foot. You're fading 3 feet away. You're going so much around contact, it was scary. Like, dude, 2 points on the free throw line works just as well. This might just be his game. Okay? We didn't notice it in Brooklyn because who was watching Brooklyn? Sorry. We didn't notice it in Phoenix because we're not Phoenix fans.
And that wasn't his role in Phoenix, basically.
And that wasn't his role. Right? But here, playing with your boys, the Knicks expected much more. I expected much more.
But he was the third. I'm not sure what the Knicks, I think the Knicks may have expected him to just be 3-and-D. I think the Knicks may have expected him with Brunson and Cat. We just need you to come in, play the point of attack defense, hit your corner threes. I'm not sure if they looked at him as a secondary ball handler. I feel like that's something he can do. I don't think they allowed him to even do that. The offense just went through Brunson all the time, right? Maybe Thibodeau, I guess more specifically, didn't have confidence that he can run an offense and Brunson can purely play off ball. Because when we got him, I thought, wow, we got a secondary ball handler now. Brunson doesn't have to bring the ball up all the time. He handled the ball in Brooklyn. He was their number one option. He's used to, he's used to this because there were times, even if he didn't play point guard, there was times when he would have the ball in his hand a lot. So I'm thinking, wow, we're going to have that versatility to him to be the secondary ball handler, maybe create plays for himself, create plays for others. I don't feel like his role was optimized. Now, you can argue, how do you optimize a third pick, a third or fourth option? You're not usually running plays for third and fourth options. They're getting what they're getting off of the top players, right? I just still feel like we could have ran him with the second unit so we can take more advantage of his skill set. Run Brunson off the ball with him. Unless I'm overstating his ability to be a secondary ball handler and to initiate offense. Maybe I am. Seems to me he can do it. So that's the optimal role because the Knicks need that. And if it's not going to be Bridges, it needs to be somebody else. They need somebody next to Brunson that can initiate offense so he can play off ball.
They needed that 2 years ago.
Okay.
They've needed this since the Miami series when it was glaring. Okay? What did they do each year after that? Neglected. I read a story, it was last year, and I want to say I tend to believe it, that the Knicks were trying to get Caruso, but because of, Steph's favorite, OG taking every dollar. Okay? That's something that we don't, we as Knicks fans, because we kind of, we like him, whatever, but a lot of this problem started when he took every dollar. And they were unable to address anything else. So it was like, oh, Bridges, you handled a little bit in college, right? We saw you handle a little bit in Phoenix. You're going to be the second. Josh, we know you can do it a little bit. We've seen you in the 1-on-5 break. Okay. Deuce, you're coming. You're still working on your playmaking thing. That's 3 guys. We don't need any more. But that wasn't their primary responsibility.
Yeah.
So you're mismatching.
Right.
Why? Because I don't want to say they didn't think out the whole contract parameters with OG and so forth, but it's the elephant in the room. It really is. Because they weren't able to fill the other spots last year because there was nothing else left.
But don't you think, though, that when Brunson signed his contract, that gave them flexibility, right? And if I'm not mistaken, that's going to allow them to re-sign. I'm not sure where the flexibility comes in, but Brunson signing that contract gave them some flexibility. Probably
They would already be over the second apron if he hadn't agreed to the contract that he did. So that's your flexibility,
right?
I mean, we were literally thousands of dollars away from being over the second apron this year. It was that close. Like, that's why we waited so long before we wasted that roster spot on PJ Tucker.
Right. So what I'm saying is, you wanted OG to leave some money on the table too, so we could have done even more, I guess.
If you're going for a championship, now it's not the player's responsibility to fill out and build the team.
Right.
You hope and you pray for a situation like Brunson, when you can go to him and say, look, we need this going forward, because it's not your responsibility, it's not your business how cap-strapped everybody in the league is going to be, but we need to have a partnership right in the short-term future, right? You go to him, he's happy, he brought his dad, he's willing to do it because he sees the long-term potential. Everybody's not going to do that.
Yeah.
You understand? OG took every dollar.
I don't think he took a max though, but I think it was close. I think it was.
He took 98.7%. He took 98.7%.
No, you're right. You're right.
And you look back, and you know what? That's your prerogative. That's why you played for his whatever to get to this point to be able to do that.
Right.
But how do we fix these problems?
Right. Because if you bring in a new coach and you bring in the same roster with the same issues, where there's no one else that can handle the ball, it's all on Brunson. We don't have a point of attack defender. You're gonna have similar issues. But the thing about it is, how do you bring those players in if you're not making the trade? How are you bringing in a secondary ball, a good one, that can play beside Brunson and behind Brunson? How are you doing that if you're not trading? They can use the tax player mid-level exception, but who's out there that can do that for them?
I'm gonna throw a name out there that I like. I'm gonna throw a name out there that I like.
Okay.
Luke Kennard.
But is he a point guard though?
He averaged 6 assists last year, so that tells me that he can distribute at some level. Handling the ball, he's not. You can't average 6 assists. If you look what Bridges averaged assists this past year, 3.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're able to dish that out and shoot 43 to 44% for a 5-year clip, that's a dual threat offensive person. That's another ball handler. That's another person that can hit a shot in a big. I don't know what his big moment shots have been, so let me not put that on him. I'm just using the stat component. That's somebody that can shoot.
If he can run an offense, I'm all for it. But then again, you also have to, can he play defense?
See, we're going to go down this road again here. What's more important? For me, I've said this before, defense comes in moments. When are your moments? Your moments are not the first 81 games. It's just not. It's not. Look at Cat the first 81 games and look at Cat in the playoffs. First 70-something games, Cat doesn't have a bad knee.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, guess what? Cat has a bad knee.
He has some moments. I'm not gonna sit there and say he was.
I'm not gonna say. I'm saying he had some moments. I'm not gonna sit there and say he was just putrid.
Right.
Sometimes he was, though.
Sometimes he was.
Right? And what fault was that? Is it the knee or was it just his overall awareness? We mad right now. We still in mourning, so we think it was his overall awareness.
I think it's a little bit of both. I do have questions about his defensive IQ when you're asking him to do more than one thing on defense.
Lack of usage, I think, is a third thing to throw in there. I don't think the Knicks utilized him to the full extent that we could
on the
have.
offensive end.
On the offensive end, I don't think we maximized his abilities for whatever reason. But I kind of agree with Rebuild NYK. I don't think you can play Luke and Jalen at the same time, and that severely limits. I mean, I think that's just traffic cone backcourt defense. Like I'm not like, and if you're talking about those two end towns, whoo, that's really right.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is you're going to have to trade to get these guys. Somebody mentioned Kobe White or Marcus Smart. You're going to have to trade to get those guys. We don't have, and the thing about trading, like you could be like, oh, well, we could put together, I don't know what Kobe White is making we could put Mitchell Robinson and McBride together and get Kobe White. That's 2 for 1. So that impacts your depth. That impacts your depth as well. The Knicks got, I hope the Knicks don't think that just the coaching change is going to be enough. There's some roster construction issues, and they don't have the flexibility or even the pieces, unless they're going to trade some of their top players to go out and get what we need. Trading Josh Hart for another player, that's still 1-to-1. You're still going to have depth issues.
Yes.
Right? That's 1 for 1. You're still going to have depth issues. And I will die on this hill for everybody that's hating on Josh Hart, who had his best statistical season and was really good for us, but was not that great in the particularly in the Indiana series. I'm not going to give up on Josh Hart because Tom Thibodeau put him in a position that's really not his game. I don't think Josh Hart is a 35, 38 minute a game player. I think he's a bench player, 25 minutes a game. You can blame it on Thibodeau, but the front office have to take some blame too for how they constructed this roster. Thibodeau was thinking, I need some rebounders. Mikal is not a rebounder. OG's not a rebounder. I need a rebounder in this, in this lineup. Now, did he stay with Hart too long? A lot of times, yeah, he did. He did,
but that guy is going to scratch and claw and scrape. That rebound he grabbed in game 5 in Indiana, when perpendicular,
right,
rise. The human body's not supposed to do that. When he landed, I thought he broke his leg. I really thought he broke his leg because that rocket, I'm like, oh my God, did he lay it all on the line to secure that rebound? I think it's game 5. Did he lay it on the line? What coach doesn't want that?
No.
What coach is not going to remember that in the key moment? I didn't got to ask him to get down and dirty.
Right. But AD, do you think though that there were times when Josh Hart could have taken a seat.
Absolutely.
That there were times, particularly in the Indiana series, where guys was cutting backdoor. The thing with Josh Hart is you're not going to get the shooting, right? You're not going to get the spacing, but you're banking on the defensive rebounds, the offensive rebounds, the transition points, the playmaker. People underrate his playmaking in that the fact that he's able to, his vision to create shots for others. Fine. But when he's not doing those things, Thibodeau's still rocking with him instead of making a change. Not forever, Thibodeau. Not forever. But he don't got it this game. Well, you know what? He only playing 25 minutes tonight because he's just not giving us what he's giving to offset the other stuff. Would you agree or no?
I totally agree. And we as Knicks fans, we know it all too well. At the highest moment of our Knickdom, for those of us who at a certain age, where did that rear its ugly head when it wasn't supposed to?
Right.
When a coach wasn't supposed to have all of that faith with
Right.
the seconds going down,
Yeah.
and you're watching someone who's beloved having a nightmare, right? Having an absolute nightmare, right? To this day, I still have nightmares over that, right?
Me too, brother. Preach it. Preach it.
So we've seen it before. We have seen it before. Sometimes these coaches, because you love them and you could wake him up and he'll go running through the gym and you ain't got to ask him about his body fat because he's always going to be in shape. You don't have to ask him about his effort because he's always going to give you the effort. So it leads you to believe that, mind will be over matter. What did Bruce Lee say once before? Water. Right? But when it comes right in front of us, it's like, nah. You got to pull him out even for a couple of seconds.
You got to
Even to let him regroup. Right? But he's telling you, I believe in you. Okay?
And he
I
went down.
believe in you.
He went down with Josh Hart. And I'm a huge Josh Hart fan. I feel like he is one of the premier role players in this league. I don't think there's that many better than him. And when you have him in his role, he is unbelievable when you have him in his role. But when you have a coach who maybe out of necessity felt like he needed to start him, kept him in for 38 and 40 minutes, have this undying faith in him, when you take players out their role, they're not going to look as good.
It's kind of like in the world of business, how people get promoted to a position of incompetence. What I mean by that is you're really good at your job. Like I'm the top salesman in the company. I sell 1,000 widgets an hour. I'm amazing at that. And then they put me in management and I don't know how to manage it. I've never had any management experience. And so here I am as the manager and the company starts hemorrhaging money because they had to replace me and the sales isn't going as good and this and that and the other because I'm in a position that I don't belong in, right? Josh Hart got promoted to a position of incompetence. He doesn't belong in the starting lineup. He belongs as the sixth man off the bench for 25 minutes a game. Are there moments when he's hot and he's playing great that you want him in there in the fourth quarter? Absolutely. Is that 24/7, 365 for 82 games a year plus 16, hopefully? No, I don't think it is anyway, but we've been saying that on this show for a long time.
Yeah. I just think that the options weren't robust for Thibodeau. But I still think there are times when I would have played McBride over Hart. To me, I feel like that should have been just part of the rotation, just a regular part of the rotation. Fine, I'm gonna start Hart. But there are going to be times when we need to go 5 out because that's when our offense is at its best. Now they can't put that center on Josh Hart. That center has to stay on Cat. Once they do that, now we can get all the backdoor cuts. We can get the offense opens up, so to speak. So if I was Thibodeau, I would have did both. Like, it doesn't just have to be, Hart for 38 minutes every single night. I would have been like, look, there's times when we're gonna play Hart, and then there's times in the game when we're gonna go to McBride, and then our offense is gonna look a little different.
Steph, I think you hit the nail on the head for why Thibodeau is no longer here.
That's
Because
what
he wasn't willing to do both. Right? It was, and you respect the coach, you got to go down with what you think is best. Like, however you coach, if you've been a coach, you got to go with what you think is best for your team. But, when it's not working, you've got to be a little bit flexible.
And this was a little different because
I agree.
remember how he stuck with Kemba Walker for a long time before he made that change. He stuck with Grimes for a long time before he made that change. Alfred Payton, Fournier,
what's that kid? Alec Burks.
Yeah.
Alec Burks is the starting point guard. Remember what a disaster that was in the 37-win season?
Yeah.
So he has a history
of giving guys a long period of time. We're calling for it. He don't give them an extra 15 games, but he will eventually make that change. Shout out to
he wasn't the one that gave out, Christmas gifts in August of 2022. That wasn't him. Did you think that man really wanted Fournier?
Nope.
No.
Do you think he wanted Kemba Walker with bone on bone Bob?
Neither.
They didn't want Kemba if he was healthy. He couldn't guard anyone.
But he has to be the company man. Someone had to be the face to sell these things. You think he wants to embarrass Kemba Walker coming back home to his roots?
Right.
No. Kemba did that. Kemba had that great game, and everybody was like, "You see, Kemba still has it." And then
that was it. Like a fart in a dust storm.
Gone. But we look at him as to why. You see what I'm saying? It's like I'm torn over this Tibbs thing. I'm sorry to veer this way. I'm torn. I'm torn over this. I believed he needed to get fired. There's no question in my mind's eye. Like when I come to that point, I believe in it. But I'm so concerned about stability. I'm so concerned about,
I want to die.
Okay, I really am. Because as I said the other night someplace else, Fizdale wasn't 10 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Think about that. Think about that, fans, as we sit out here and we nitpick every little thing that Thibodeau did not do correctly. As if there's a track record of winning 50 plus games that we have. It's littered in our past. Every coach that came here won 50 games. He didn't do anything special.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not every coach had Jalen Brunson in the building either, though.
That's fine. But he came here because of the coach. He came here because of the relationship that he had with the coach and the Godfather and this one and that one and that one. No one. You know how long we heard no one wanted to come to New York, Steph?
Yeah. I know. I know. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to Mitchell Robinson. Appreciate you, AD. Appreciate you, Jeff, as always, and appreciate the chat as well. Let me just get to a few of these comments. D. Grant, Steph, they're going to have to get someone we may not like, but has experience as a ball handler. I think they need that. How are they going to get it given the money that they have without trading someone? The coolest 718, Knicks should be doing all they can to get Malik Beasley.
I don't think Detroit's given up on Malik Beasley. He's the only three-point shooter they got.
Daddy, I'm giving Paris Duggar, appreciate you. I'm giving Daddy a chance to start. He plays defense, rebounds, and will be a scorer off ball. Listen, it's not about skill set. Like, people are so enamored with the skill set, what a player can do. I'm more enamored with when they can do it, because when you get deep into the playoffs, it takes a lot to be able to do what you do in a tougher situation. You understand? It's not just about talent. You want guys that's not going to shrink from the moment, and he might not. He might not, but you don't know that. And if this is a championship or bust season for you, is that a chance you want to take? So, me personally, I'm not starting any rookie. If it's up to me, rookie or second year player, it's up to me. If you are in the rotation, you like the 9th, 10th guy. You're not the top of the rotation, 6th, 7th, 8th guy that we are counting on game in and game out, counting on you to show up in the playoffs. By definition, young players are inconsistent, and they have a right to be. Everybody was getting on Grimes. Grimes was inconsistent. He was a third-year player that was injured so much, he probably just had a year and a half of experience. Those guys are going to be inconsistent. It's not his fault he was thrust into the starting lineup until eventually DiVincenzo took over. So young players are going to be inconsistent, and that's their right. It's nothing to get upset about. That's what it is. Personally, I just don't think that's a chance you take if this is a championship or a bust.
No, you just don't. You can't depend on him. And you're asking for a coach who didn't draft him, who wasn't in on any of the meetings to work with him.
Right.
And if he can't work with him, does it then means that the young man is a bust? No. It means that this is not who I wanted for my system.
Right. And someone said that's why you give them minutes early. You can give them minutes early. That's still not going to make somebody a play. Remember all the minutes we gave to Kevin Knox?
Oh, God, don't do that to me.
Kevin Knox got
serious stuff.
minutes after minutes.
That hurt, don't it, AD? She just put paper cut for lemon juice on that.
Woo!
This idea that everybody is talented, they just need minutes. No, some guys are more talented than others. Some guys, you can give them all the minutes in the world, they're not going to be that. The point is, for a second-year player, if this is a championship or bust season, even if you give them minutes early, you grow year after year after year. The inconsistency of a young player, maybe they become inconsistent in the 4th year, maybe the 3rd year. So that to me, I just feel like, why would you even put them in that position where you're counting on them in a play? And like, that's a tough position to put a young guy. And listen, they might rise to the occasion, but I'm playing the percentages. I'm not putting a young guy spot duty. Absolutely. 8th, 9th, 10th guy, no problem. But counting on them off the bench in the playoffs on a championship and bust, that's a lot to ask. Like that, to me, that's a big ask. Whether you give them minutes early or not, that's a big ask.
It is. It really is. It's and like I said earlier, we just don't see it because we fall in love with certain guys because we were watching them. I purposely really stopped watching a lot of college basketball for the last 5 to 6 years for moments like this. I was so tired of talking about the young guy coming in. I'm like, you know what? Look, that's not what I'm here for anymore. You understand? Like, I don't want to talk about the draft. This is the first time I've had any post-draft communication in 5-6 years where I would even mention, because I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Right.
I really don't. We're not on the same trajectory.
Right.
I'm talking about championships. You're talking about spot minutes.
No, someone talking about Kolek being a primary backup to Jalen Brunson.
Where did they get this idea from? Where was your stretch of evidence that you could say, back in the day you could have said, Mark Jackson came in out of shape. Rod Strickland is in shape and ready to go. You could see the turmoil, right? You could see what was about to happen, which eventually did happen. Both of them had a fight in the back room, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, Rod is being traded for Maurice Cheeks. Right? You could see, but you understand what I'm saying?
Give me a heart attack, Queen.
Right, but those are two young but those are two young guys. Right? You could see that happening. Not for someone that you had a highlight and he passes well. Can you see him running a team in the future? Absolutely. Doesn't mean that it's this team.
And this season, when this championship will play. And not that he can't get minutes, but you're talking about the primary backup to Jalen Brunson. Yo, you saw that Indiana series? Man, that was tough. Our regular guys were struggling. Guys with NBA were struggling to get their shots, to get loose, to get to their spots,
to get back on defense. Wow. Because the moment you hit your shot, Indiana was on. You want to put a young guy in that kind of situation because what? Some highlights told you that he's ready for that. If the vets aren't ready for that, and we're having all these communication problems, according to the media and so forth, you want to put the young person in that position to have the same communication issues and so forth and so forth. Because some spot minutes were going to get them ready for that.
Somebody said, so who's the primary backup to Halliburton? McConnell. Who's a seasoned vet who comes in for sometimes he's only in for like 10 to 12 minutes.
He'll score 14 points and have 5 steals.
His impact, though. You thought he played 20 minutes that game. You look at the box score, you were like, yo, he only played 12 minutes. Listen, the backup to Halliburton is McConnell, who is a seasoned vet. That's not the same as Coley.
I was going to ask, is that a rhetorical question? Because his name should be imprinted in your forefront of your mind. You've seen him in the last 2 playoffs, what he did to you from the bench. I'll play Deuce 2 years in a row.
Right. He didn't get seasoned by playing in his second year, playing in a championship, playing in the Eastern Conference Finals. You understand what I'm saying? It's just unfortunate that these guys are coming along at a time when the Knicks are in a different place. And this reminds me of the conversation we had when it was Quickly and all of those guys, and Tom Thibodeau chose to play vets at that time. And some were arguing, yo, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. Let these young guys play. Okay. That was probably a better argument back then because we weren't going anywhere. We weren't a championship contending team. Now we are. And we still talking about playing the kids like this is 5 years ago, and we trying to develop them. Why? So we can be a championship contending team. Well, we already are.
We want to develop and win at the same time.
Right. Now, I like the fact that the Knicks filled in the back end of the roster. I do think in 2, 3, 4 years, you get a start out that group. Maybe you get a high-level bench player out of that group. Even now, you could get spot minutes from Hawkporty and Kolek. And some would even argue, though I disagree, that Hawkporty could be the backup to Towns next season if the Knicks decide to move on from Mitch. Well, we'll get to that in the next set. Let's move on to Mitch because, we'll be on this.
Hawkporty. You remember Hawkporty came in last year? I'm like, you remember we used to watch wrestling, and when you had a new bad guy, they would go from parts unknown. Where did you find this guy? No disrespect, when we saw him, it's like, okay, but he just kept all year long. I kept going for parts unknown. Where is this guy? Like, seriously. And now the fans have gravitated to him because he's going to be the next. He showed a lively body. That's it. We don't know what he could be. We don't know what he can be. All we know is he showed a lively body.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for a lot of us, we might be confusing talent with getting it done in the playoffs. And I think getting it done in the playoffs is more than just talent and skill set. There has to be a certain mental fortitude, a certain certain experience where you're just not overwhelmed by the moment. And that takes time for a lot of players. There are a few that could come in first time and, make it happen, play the same way they play in the regular season, give you the same thing they gave you. But a lot of times, they need that experience before you can trust them in that situation. And I'm not talking about spot minutes. I'm just talking about I'm counting on you game in and game out. All right, let's get to Mitchell Robinson, who was also mentioned in the report. I think it was it Frank Isola, or was it Frank Isola that the Knicks might be considering trading Robinson? Why? The contract situation, right? He's entering the last year of his contract. His injury history might be a consideration for them, though now the Knicks have one of the premier medical staff in the NBA, but injury history is one. They might want to sell high. They might be considering that too. If he has another injury, he's injury prone. He played well in the playoffs. They see that he's back to himself. This might be our opportunity to sell high. So that could be a reason they're considering it. And then also they may feel like they have alternatives that they can either get via trade or that they already have on the bench. So like all of these may be reasons why they are considering him. My question to you is, Gafford signed an extension, I want to say 3 years, $60 million, but I think it's really 3 years, $56 million, but whatever it is, there's some incentives in there, whatever, 3 years, $20 million a year, let's just say. Would you consider extending Robinson at between 15 and 20 million or trading him? Why or why not? And let's just keep it, because I have a few other questions on Robinson. Jeff, I need a timer. Like, I wonder, can you get like a
You put me on a timer.
Go put something on the stove.
Here's the thing about Robinson, and I love Mitch.
I do.
I think that to me, the idea that I have is that you can probably find someone not the same as Mitch, because Mitch offensive rebounding impact is massive, and he's a very good rim protector. I mean, in the play where in the Boston series, when Bridges gets credit for the block, it's actually Robinson who initiates that by getting on the ball. He rotated to 4 different players, passed him off to Anunoby, and then Bridges was able to come and get the block from the weak side to save that game. And Robinson had a really good playoff. But I think you can get a lot of the things that Robinson does, rim protection, defense. You can't get that plus shooting. I know that's an ideal for you big, but I think you can get a lot of those things for maybe 30% of the price. You know what I mean? I'm not the same level, but you can get a guy who can defend and block shots, play behind Towns, because to me, I view Towns as a 5. So I'm wanting Towns to play the majority of the minutes at the 5, and I'm just looking for a guy who's going to come in 15, 18 minutes. And if you have an injury and you need to play him more, he's not going to kill you, but he's not a superstar. So I think that you can get someone, let's just call him a player X, $4 or $5 million. Trey, if you're out somewhere, we'll call him Bol just for now, because I know Trey loves him some Bol. But then, so then you have like $8 or $9 million of his contract left, right? To bring in somebody who can add to the roster in a different way, a power forward, or another guard who with some playmaking ability. Any of the weaknesses that we've already mentioned here is what that's the thing that I kind of think about with Robinson. If you're going to trade him, I think there are pros and cons to it. He's on a pretty decent value deal. If you can get him for a similar extension, especially if it's a descending contract again, I think that's worth exploring, because he's still not very old. He's only like, what, 26, 27 years old, but again, AD said it very first thing that when we got here, number one ability is availability. I don't think you can trust Mitchell Robinson on a long-term extension. And so because of that, unless you get him at the number that you want, and I don't know what that number is, there are people in the Knicks organization who really like Robinson. I think you can make the case that he was one of our more consistent playoff performers, which, was important. I think in the last, when he got to the playoffs, I thought he played well for the most part. The Indiana series, he wasn't great, but I don't think anybody was particularly great in the Indiana series. So I don't want to single out Mitch when I thought it was a team-wide failure. But I think the idea is, if you're going to deal Mitch, it's not necessarily for one player, but it's so that you can get another center who's cheaper, maybe not as good, but can do similar things, plus another asset to bring to your bench to provide that depth that you were talking about.
Yeah. And thank you for that, because I'm thinking Bridges, but you just brought up you could do that with Mitch too if you get a cheap center. Yeah, okay. AD, would you sign him to the extension or?
No, because I'm afraid I won't be able to move him
if he gets hurt, right?
If he gets hurt, and it's not an if thing with Mitch; it's a when. Okay, and I can't. The moment he gets hurt, all negotiations are off, and that's what it's been. When they got Mitch going in 8 years now, come a long way. Young man could barely talk in front of a microphone. Jacket was like 4 sizes bigger than him in press conference, right? You remember when Tibbs first got here? He was supposed to go to USA Select? Nah. Tibbs kind of started breaking him down, right? Started talking about his game as far as, you have to be on the court. You have to be growing, getting better, not getting into as much foul trouble as you were. People forget, before Tom got here, Mitch couldn't play he couldn't play a 10-minute stretch. He'd get 3 quick fouls. We forget all about this, pre-Tibbs. Right? In his career, has he ever averaged 30 minutes a game?
Nope.
I'll give you a better one. Has he ever averaged double? And we jump on these rebounding numbers like he is Wilt. Has he ever averaged double-figure rebounds? No. So what is this unusual talent that we can't move to get better? He'll be coming in his 8th year. It's like, it's not that special. Look at the last game. Did he have a good playoffs overall? Absolutely. For the minutes, Hacker Mitch, all of that, even got a little bit better, with that, didn't go clang to the right, went clanging down, right? Look at the last game. Look at the stat numbers. comes out, 5 offensive rebounds in the first quarter. 5. What he ended with? 5. That was it. You muted your mic, Steph.
I don't think he was ready for those types of minutes. Like, I don't think Mitch.
When is he ever ready?
I will say this. If you can guarantee me, well, oh boy, there's so many considerations. Because a part of me wants to say, if you can guarantee me that Mitchell Robinson is going to be healthy, I would sign him to an extension, depending on, I don't know about $20 million. I would sign him to an extension. Listen, Mitchell Robinson is elite at what he does. Pick and roll defense, rim protection, offensive rebound. He's elite. He just doesn't stay on the court long enough so that you can consistently get that. That's the issue with Mitch. We know his limitations. I talk about his limitations all the time. I'm known as a Mitch hater. But you got to talk about both sides. The free throws, can't play him down the stretch. The not even necessarily an offensive game, but just the ball skills, just the offensive, IQ to move the offense along. Though I have to say, because what would I say, Jeff? And this was more last year, but I noticed an involvement in his game, and this is how limited it is. That any little involvement, we're like, "Ooh, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that?" I used to always get on Mitch because I felt like whenever you passed him the ball, you had to run and get it from him. So you give him the ball, like an outlet pass. Let me pass it to him at the free throw line. He's not going to turn around and look to see if there's anybody else to pass to. You basically have to run and get the ball back from him. I'm like, well, okay. We understand you're not going to shoot the ball, and that's not your game. But you at least have to be able to keep the offense moving by when they pass you the ball, you keep it moving. Because if you holding it, waiting for somebody to come, the defense gets to stop and reset. But this year I saw different. This year I saw they give him the ball in the post. He would turn and hit somebody on the corner. I was like, oh, look at that.
You have to go, Hercules.
I did see some improvement there. But this is my thing about the extension that I thought about. Are you starting Mitch and moving Towns to 4?
No.
Or are you playing Mitch behind Towns? If you're playing Mitch behind Towns, you can't have $75 million tied up in your center position between Towns and Mitch. Like you can't. Now, if you're going to tell me he's going to play 30 minutes a game at the 5, Cat is at the 4, that's a different story. But if you're playing him behind Cat, you can't have a $20 million or $15 million center playing behind Cat. To Jeff's point, you can find somebody for $5-6 million to play behind, Cat. And that position behind Cat is important because he gets into foul trouble.
This is the same argument that we had last year with Hartenstein. We can't, before we knew that OKC was going to blow everybody out the water, it was, well, Mitch is making 15. He's going to want 16. You can't pay and that work out for OKC. Better yet, team building, team construction. The year Hartenstein got here, of course, Mitch does his thing, or not does his thing, but he gets injured. All of a sudden, the player that we thought we were getting in Hartenstein, our eyes are like, oh shit, he can really ball. And better yet, he's here every night. So what does Knicks management do going into his second year? Do they re-up him?
Right.
After what they just saw?
They could have done that, right?
Yes, they could have. Do they re-up him? No. because salary cap and space and the future was so important. Not what you have right here and now was so much important that, he likes being here. We'll get back to that later. How did that work out?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's like some of these things, when they gave Mitch that money, I understood at the time. I won't understand this time. Because you have a young man that from year to year, you don't know what you're getting. 1 year they put on some weight on him. Dear God, it took him 1.5 years to look comfortable with the weight. He comes back from injury. You don't know exactly when he's coming back. You have to have a minute restriction. You have to get this. You have to get that. This is not a prima donna type of player. You don't put all your eggs in the basket to try and resuscitate this gentleman. Is he talented? Yes. In 2 areas. Has he taken a shot outside of 7 feet in your memory? Never. Has he ever looked at the rim when he's gotten the ball in certain areas of the court and you were like, man, shoot! Almost as bad as Sims. So you only have him for 1 or 2 things. And you're going to pay him an exorbitant amount of money to back up. Because like Jeff said, I don't see Cat. Cat is not a 4. Cat is a 5. Okay? Especially coming off of a bad injury. Do I want him chasing Siakam around? Again, mismatch sucks.
But what I'm saying is, so you're saying if it wasn't for his injury history, you still wouldn't. Like for me, I'm saying it's the injury history, and if you're playing him behind Cat, that's too much money at the center position.
If he wasn't injured, I'd be willing to give him the money. I'd be willing. But it's like it's like you're throwing good money away because you don't know.
Right.
And when he gets injured, the last injury, he didn't come back until March.
Right. So I guess I don't need to ask, because both of you guys see Cat as a center. I see him as a center. As I think, well, we'll get into that. I think he can play both. It's more about where the Knicks better, but we can get into this another time.
Do you want him chasing Tatum around again? Remember what that looked like in the playoffs?
But I mean, he did it.
Don't get me wrong, he had his moments. But just you going into a game in matchups, right? He's going to be your 4 most of the game. Tatum is going to be your 3-4 most of the game. How is that going to work out for you? Tatum's going to hunt him.
Yeah.
He's going to hunt him. They're going to pick him out. Well, not next year. I'm just But any player of that ilk is going to do what?
I get your point. I was just being silly.
But he got away with it in Minnesota, and I'm not sure how. Anyway, if you were trading Mitch, I'm trying to pull my word. If you were trading Mitch, are you trading him for another center, or are you trading him for another position of need? Depth, for example.
I think it depends on how you plan on addressing the center position, right? I don't think you can trade Robinson and then ignore the 5 spot. Like, I don't think we can just say, Huckborty, the job is yours, congratulations, and and that be your, because he's coming off an injury too. I'm not trying to hate on Huckborty. I'm just, that's just, mismanagement as far as I'm concerned. So I think if you're, if you want to make a trade for like a bigger salary, like use most of his salary, I'm just going to say for a $10 million guy who's like a 6th man, 7th man, kind of at a different position. Maybe he's a power forward, maybe it's a shooting guard, whatever floats your boat. Then you really have to get creative to find somebody on the bargain basement market who you're comfortable with. Andre Drummond type vet min, guy that can eat. I know he's not the best defender. I'm just talking about a guy who can eat minutes when you need him to. Hopefully Cat's healthy, and because I could see Huck Porty, playing 10 or 15 minutes off the bench behind Towns if that's the way, if everybody's healthy. But you definitely going to need somebody as a third big there. And we typically, used our late round draft picks on that. But, the guy that we drafted this year is a power forward. So not really in the same slot there. So, but I don't want to have a situation where we're rostering 5 centers like we've done in the past either. You know what I mean? I think, I'd like to have 3 and that would be the advantage of you need an extra one if Mitch is on your roster, because he's going to miss half the season due to injury. So you're still going to need, those other guys as a backup. But if you have somebody in there who's maybe, not the rebounder or not the offensive rebounder, doesn't create gravity with his rebounding like Robinson does, which not many do, then I think you can live with only having 3 on the roster, free up that spot for somebody else, for rebounding in that starting unit, which I think we desperately need at the 4 spot, wherever that comes from, or a more natural combo guard who can do, a variety of things and take the pressure off of Brunson, better than say a Deuce McBride can.
So Brian Windhorst is reporting that the Knicks have locked in on Borrego. He was the coach of the Charlotte Hornets last, and I think right now the associate head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans, if I'm not mistaken, to replace Tom Thibodeau as the head coach. You can forget about some of these guys because their teams are refusing to allow the Knicks to interview them. Windhorst said, looks like James Borrego, who nearly got the Cavaliers job last year, will be the next coach of the Knicks. Again, this is what he's reported. I don't think it's official, but this is what Windhorst says. It looks like he will be the next coach of the Knicks. Do we want to just wait for it to drop and continue our conversation, or do you guys have a response? I can go either way.
AD?
My only response is dum dum dum. I don't know. I have to be fair to that gentleman, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I won't do that to him right now without dissecting some things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I will say this. If he is the coach, offensive creativity, right? Being a bench coaching, like be able to make adjustments in the moment, obviously, and some defensive versatility in terms of what we do to try to hide Brunson and Towns. Listen, Tom Thibodeau was a good coach. So they're replacing him because there's some specific things that they had issues with Tom Thibodeau. So hopefully this coach who comes in is addressing these specific issues. I will say this. Those other things that Tom Thibodeau did do well needs to stay in place as well, right? You can't have a coach coming in bringing these 3 things that Tom Thibodeau didn't do well, and then the other stuff falls by the wayside. So we will see.
I'm only hoping that this is not a scenario where management is going to try and coach the team through someone who is happy to have a job and happy to have this job. I'm not saying that's the situation,
right?
But we know management could not control Tom Thibodeau.
No.
They weren't he wasn't doing anything that they suggest. He might have listened to you for half a second, but this is my shit. This is my show. Okay? I'm hoping that that's not the situation where He's happy to have a job. So everything you run across his desk, he's like, okay, boss.
Right.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's do chat GPT AI coaching. Why not? Yes. Then that's the next step.
yeah. They wanted collaboration, but where's the line in the collaboration with the front office? Is the collaboration on, this is what, as a coach, this is what I need. I think that's going to make the team better. The front office saying, listen, given the second, the collective bargaining agreement, we are going to have to bring some of these young guys along a little bit, maybe give them some spot minutes, start bringing them along year by year, because we're going to need them sooner than later. Just the way, like, if that's the type of collaboration you're talking about, yeah, I'm all for it. If the collaboration is, from what I heard, we think you should change your starting lineup. Like, dude, you're not a coach. You're not. Now, if you want to ask me a question, listen, the on-off numbers are saying this team, and I'm just curious as a front office, why you haven't made this, change. I'm just trying to understand. To me, that's legit. You know what I mean? But
the Garden doesn't in my tenure from the last, and I don't want to say the entire time, but I'm just going to use the last 25 years. The Garden does not respect people who try to be their own people. When you hired Tom Thibodeau, you couldn't tell Tom Thibodeau he couldn't speak because somebody had to speak for the organization.
right.
Okay? It's too much of a, it's almost like a law firm. Remember that movie, The Firm?
Yep.
When everybody's standing around, you're welcome to join us. And the moment this kid figured out, like, I don't really want to do this. I don't really want to, because lawyers are coming up dead. It feels like the same thing. The moment you want to be a man, you want to be a woman, you want to explain what you want, what your ideas are, and so forth. No, that's not what we do here. Okay, and you want another company person. You want another Herb Williams to be hanging on somewhere in the backdrop. You want Mills to be hanging on. Because why? This is the family. It's the firm. That's a dangerous position. It really is. Because you're afraid to look at yourself in the mirror.
Right.
You're afraid to say, that was messed up. This was wrong. And you're afraid to talk about it, even on your own network.
Right.
So I don't want to kill this person who may be that. I don't know. Let's see if he's going to be the one or whatever. But if it's a company man you're bringing in here just because he's going to listen to every idea you have, Lord have mercy.
Right. Like when the stuff about Thibodeau, like we feel as an organization that, I mean, if they had problems with his rotations, felt like it should have been longer. Like, that's basketball stuff. But he wasn't talking to us, and he was like, I remember Kendrick Perkins. He said this recently. He said, winning a championship is hard. He said, winning a championship it's intense. He said, people are irritable. I was with Boston, we was irritable with the coaches. The coaches was irritable with, like, I would walk in the building, as soon as I see the coach, I'm like, oh, this motherfucker. Like, everybody was on edge, irritable with each other. That's just a part of it. Everybody is trying to win. The front office want the coach to be doing something. The coach wonder why. What you trying? I asked you to give me this player. You didn't get me this player. There's a lot of tension. That's just the way it is. But if there were specific basketball reasons, let's just hope, and I believe there were, let's just hope that this coach addresses that. Right? There was a baseline of competence with Thibodeau. Let's hope that this coach will continue that and add to it. Because the bottom, you can't be bringing one thing and the bottom falling out in other things. You understand?
At the very least, like we just can't go backwards.
Right.
Can I live with not winning another championship less season I guess if I had to, living right now, right? Can I live with everything just totally falling back and rolling backwards? I can't do that again.
Right. Right.
I don't have another 50 years to wait.
Facts. Facts.
Okay,
I can tell you what I know about. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. I was done.
I can tell you what I know about Borrego. I don't know if this. There's good news and there's bad news. So when he went to Charlotte, he took over the team and they won 23 games the first year. They won 33 games the second year, and they won 43 games the third year. So you saw a 10-game improvement year one, year two, year three. So to me, that's pretty impressive because I don't think he had really great rosters in any season that he was in Charlotte. On the negative side, he has as many coaching playoff victories as AD does.
I got two.
He has as many games coaching the playoffs as AD does. He's like a 45% winning percentage in his years. He went 1 year in Orlando and 4 years. So I think he's coached for 5 years, never been to the playoffs, and never coached in a playoff game. Is this the guy you want to tie your future to? Like, why are we getting rid of Thibodeau for that? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I mean, due diligence and all, but if this is the guy they came up with as the best candidate, I'm seriously concerned about this front office.
Because you're right, Jeff. Because it can't just be Tom Thibodeau doesn't have offensive creativity. This guy has offensive creativity. We want a collaborative coach. This guy is a collaborative. There has to be a baseline of there has to be other things as well. It can't just be you looking for the anti-Thibodeau. Let's see.
That's what the Bulls did when they hired the mayor, Fred Hoiberg, and it was a disaster. And it's the same thing the T-Wolves did when they got rid of Thibodeau. I don't even remember the coach's name, the one before Chris Finch, but he was terrible, the guy that took over for Tibbs in both places. So if it's Borrego, I don't know. I don't think that's a great hire. Just off of what I know, I could be mistaken. Maybe he's an offensive genius. Maybe he turns things around. But I have a hard time believing that that's the best candidate out there for this job.
Who has it? I didn't know that. No playoff game experience. Listen, you can argue that what's the OKC coach name?
Daniel
or
Dago or something
that
like
he
that.
got out coached by Carlisle. They were able to pull it out. That a lot of us felt, and even NBA pundits, that series should have been over at 5.
I picked 5.
Right.
And maybe I was still in my feelings, so I shouldn't have said anything.
No, you weren't the only one though.
I was definitely in my feelings because I disrespected Indiana all the way.
I mean, let's be honest. OKC gave away game 1 in the same way the Knicks gave away game 1. So at the very least, you could say, it should have been 1 game shorter, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing, Jeff.
But if they win that game, then they don't need to go to game. They do win in 5. So.
But here's the thing, Jeff. And let's go back to that moment. With a month ago, almost, right? We are cleaning up game 1. I'm sure, like myself, you probably like, all right, I need to get something to drink here. Let me kick my feet back. We've rolled into 3 minutes and 45 seconds. We're up 17. This looks great. You get up, you go to the bathroom, you do what you do, you come back. Well, I looked up, we're up 11 with 53 seconds to go. Let's think about that for a second. You exhaled. You more than exhaled. You are ready to prepare for work the next day. And all of a sudden, 30 years in reverse happens yet again. I love Tom. I respect the job that he did here. You get fired for that. You get fired for what happened in game 1. You get fired for what happened in game 2. as much as I appreciate, as much as I wanted to see him. I didn't expect for them. I didn't think he was going to get fired when I heard he got fired. But as I've been going topsy-turvy and going back and forth, you get fired for that. And now we're in a situation now we're hoping and praying that the next coach can do a little bit better in these moments and situations that will take us to that next level. Someone who's never, as Jeff said, he hasn't won playoff game one. We don't even know what he'd be able to do. But management was so disgusted by what didn't happen, they were willing to walk this walk.
Yeah. Yeah. But I wonder if part of it also was they felt that the Knicks were better than Indiana. It was Tibbs' fault that they didn't get past Indiana. And I wonder if they're feeling different now that Indiana went to game 7. Rick Carlisle is a maestro, and the Pacers, you can argue maybe wasn't as talented a team as the Knicks. You can argue that, but they were a team. And the Knicks are just not that.
And they were playing the best ball out of anybody from January 1st on. Like they finished one game behind. I keep saying this, but one game in the standings behind us was the difference between us having home court advantage and them. And they started the season 10-15. So they were getting after it for the last 50 some odd games of the season. They were on fire. And the net ratings had they and OKC neck and neck. And really, when you looked at the NBA Finals, it was a well-played series on both sides, very competitive. Overall, I mean, the games themselves a lot of times weren't that close, but it was one side beating the other's head in, and then they, flip the script in the next game. So it was very much, nip and tuck. And you got to remember that Thunder team is one of the best regular season teams in the history of the NBA. They won 68 games. And they needed a miracle to beat. I'm not a miracle, but they needed 7 games to beat Denver. But Denver is Jokic, right? That guy's an all-time great, and so that Thunder team is quite good. And I hate to say this as a Knicks fan, but I don't know if we get past the Pacers that we even take that series to 7 games against the Thunder. Because I think defensively, they're a nightmare matchup for the Knicks. And we saw that in not 1, but 2 regular season games. Now, regular season doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I think you can make the case that the Knicks would be gentlemen swept by the Thunder if they had gotten to the finals.
Yeah, but it would have been nice to get there, though.
Oh, for sure. Sign me up. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Because there's no proof of that statement. Maybe we would have won, but we'll never know. But I'm just saying that there's no guarantee that we get to the finals. We're dancing on the Thunder's grave. I don't think that. No.
But it was losing to the Thunder. Ain't no shame in that. You know what I mean?
I don't think there's any shame in losing to the Pacers either. I think that's an excellent team that's super well coached. I mean, they could LOL Knicks if you want to. That's a much better team than the one that we lost to last year.
But you had home court and you were relatively injury free. Last year you rolling with the MASH unit. Last year, I can't remember the young man's name right now. If he doesn't hit that miraculous shot, they're down 3-0.
Yep, Nembhard.
If Nembhard doesn't hit that shot, they're down 3-0, more than likely not going to win 4 straight.
For sure.
So have they been lucky in 2 years of playing against us? They've had some luck. But any team that's going to win the championship, you have to have 3 things. You have to have health, you have to have luck, and you have to have a good team. So that they had. We lost game 1 and game 2, Jeff.
We did.
I keep coming back to that.
It's the last
one. We absolutely all-time worst choke in the history of the NBA. I don't want to relive it. I know y'all don't want to relive it. It's facts of the case, and you can make the argument they win game 1. They're not flat for game 2 or whatever. But if some butts were candy and nuts, it'd be a Merry Christmas for us all, right?
Indiana was a better team, Because listen, it's not about the talent, it's about the performance. You lose game 1 and you don't respond in game 2, part of winning a championship is mentality too. You know what I mean? So it was a mixed. I'm not putting all of this on Tom Thibodeau. I don't think they got the performances from the players as well. And it's an interaction effect. Yes, lineups impact player performances. Schemes impact player performances. But player performances also impact scheme. Sometimes you have a player where the schemes don't even come into play. The players in the team is just that good. The Knicks were a team where everything had to be just right. Oh my God, they lost. Tom Thibodeau didn't have the right lineup, and he didn't have the right. I mean, listen, and trust me, Tom Thibodeau, that Indiana series was not his best showing by far. By far. But Carlisle is a tactician. I don't know any other coach, maybe Spo, that's going to out coach him. Dagno won, but it wasn't because he out coached Carlisle. It wasn't.
Okay. Oh, all right. You may not look at it as an out coaching. I'm not a mathematician. I was never good at math in school. Wasn't really my thing. All right. But I know simple, basic situations. You're up 17, 3.5 minutes to go. This team is about to start playing hacker whoever. Okay? Whether it's Mitch or whoever, because you have to have more possessions and you have to speed it up. Or better yet, to slow it down.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
But while Carlisle is doing this and he's putting out guys who can shoot threes, you're not stopping them. You're allowing them to take the shot. It's only one or two things can happen when you take the shot. You either hit it or you miss it. Right? But you're allowing them to take threes.
A couple of those threes from Neesmith, though, were difficult makes. I mean,
but guess what?
I'm not going to.
But you still allow them to take it.
But I mean, an off-balance 30-footer, like if he takes that, that's what your defense wants him to take, isn't it?
But they weren't all off-balance 30-footers. And like I said,
one of them was
a couple. I'll give you a couple of them. But like I said, with 53 seconds to go, you're up 11. You're under a minute.
I got you. I'm with you.
If they're playing hacker Mitch, I'm playing hacker whoever. I'm not losing this lead. You're going to go to the free throw line instead of shooting threes. I'm not going to allow you to shoot, even if you have to shoot, even if I'm going to foul you into action. Guess what? I'm going to foul you into action. Because when we get the ball back, what are you going to do?
But you don't want him to score without taking any time off the clock either. I don't want to be.
Guess what? This is about to be the ugliest, worst ending of a game in the history. I'm never losing that.
You say that, AD, because in hindsight, yes, I would foul them. But in the course of the game, in the moment, you'd be like, yo, what the hell are they doing? Fouling and stopping the clock.
I did not think that, to be very honest with you. Like I said, I was ready to parlay, thinking this is all. But as I'm watching this going down, I'm like, hold on, what's going on here? And mind you, there's a bit more things that's going on. They're turning over the ball. They're missing free throws. All of these things is happening all at the same time.
Have went wrong. I mean, you say what? They were up 11. They were up
11 with 54 seconds to go.
How about the Knicks were up 5 with 23 seconds to go? Less than a possession. You up 5 points. Less than a possession. So, yeah. You
Brunson has the ball, and instead of getting fouled, what does he do? He passes the ball to OG, who can't handle it because he's not expecting the pass. And there you go.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
This is going to be a long off season. This is going to be a long off season. Oh God.
Woo. And the thing about whoever the new coach is, I don't want to hear nothing about the regular season. I don't want to hear about how, this coach is maximizing cat, how the pick and roll looks good, how we so free, we can play music in the locker room now. I don't want to hear nothing but the Knicks winning a chip. That's it. Look at Cleveland. The next year after the coaching change, they won 768 games, going to the playoffs, losing the set. I don't want to hear. I don't care what the Knicks do next season in the regular season. I don't care how it looks. I don't care if he's playing all the young guys and they averaging 15 points a game. I don't care. What are you going to do in the playoffs when the lights are bright and you need to perform? What is the coach going to do? And what are the players going to do? I don't want to hear anything about this team into the playoffs. That's what, look how different it is from Thibodeau. See me in the playoffs.
Yeah, but that's what you're going to hear.
See me in the playoffs.
That's what you're going to hear from fans. You know, however it looks, look at the variety. Look at this, look at that. No, I don't care about that. See me in the playoffs.
See me in the playoffs. Oh, you see how we defending the three? We got a top rock defense. We got this, we got that. See me in the playoffs.
Yeah.
See me in the playoffs.
Absolutely. I'm with you.
See me in the playoffs.
Sally's going to say, we could miss the playoffs. Bite your tongue. Oh, my God, if we miss the playoffs.
Nah.
What?
The Knicks are not going to.
No.
Only if Brunson is hurt. The a Brunson-led team will not miss the playoffs. If he's healthy, we're going to the playoffs. I am confident in that. Like the guy is a winner, and his floor as the starting point guard has been second round of the playoffs. So I think it's a little bit disingenuous to say that all of a sudden we're going to go from that to a team that misses the playoffs in an Eastern Conference that is not very strong with some of the injuries that are out there. So. Look, is it possible? Absolutely, but I will be stunned if this team misses the playoffs.
Right. Jamrock, I didn't say anything about getting to the finals. I didn't say getting to the finals wasn't enough. Please stop putting words in my mouth. I said nothing about getting to the finals isn't enough. I said I don't want to hear anything about this new coach in the regular season. I don't want to hear anything about the Knicks and how much better they look in the regular season. See me in the playoffs. I want to see how this team performs in the playoffs. That's what I said.
Amen.
All right.
And you're going to get guys. Do you remember after the 94 run, we went to 95? The talk at the time was that team was going to start, going to be a faster pace. We were gonna run a bit more. We know what happens in the end. The year later, they push in the 3-point line. This was, Charles Smith was going to be able to take advantage of that because we weren't calling stretch for at the time, but he was a big that can shoot, and just little by little, it just deteriorated till you get Nelson and this and that. See, that's just my fear of this. Like, if we don't stop the bleeding. Like, really right now, stop the bleeding, circle the hatches, get your coach in place, and let's just move from there.
Yeah.
Because these things just happen over, and that's just who we are as a franchise. It starts looking good, Knicks tape.
Yeah.
We win 54 games. And within a year and a half, we're a completely different team.
Yeah.
Right? We were at 54 games, the heights of Knicks tape. Within a year and a half, we're a completely different team. We're listening to someone who's talking about plucking guys off people's benches.
Yeah.
Well, here's a happier thought because, AD's killing me. He brings up starts. He brings up game one again. Then he's got me Charles Smith.
We're in black.
He's got his own show. He's got the show that covers all that. We love Tony, but that's not the show. So I want to put some happy thoughts into the atmosphere. Can I do that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So getting back on topic for just a minute, whether we choose to trade Mitch or Brett Bridges or both, or we choose not to, this team is young, it's talented, it's got a terrific core, it's got not one, but two all-NBA caliber players on it, albeit it defensively challenged at times. But we also have a defensive player of the year type candidate in OG Anunoby. And our bench isn't the best, but there's a lot to work with here. This is not the RJ Barrett rookie season Knicks. It's not the same thing. We are at a different level as a franchise. We have a lot. We have a lot that we can do, and they're not 25 years old. But guess what, JJ? Most of the time, this year's OKC Thunder not included, championships aren't usually won by 25-year-olds. Championships are usually won by 28 to 32-year-olds. I mean, most of the time, like I said, this year is an exception. Absolutely. The Thunder were crazy this year, you know, and so credit to them. But Sam Presti, very unique basketball genius. And like the Clippers handed him the greatest trade in the history of the NBA. Like, I mean, for real. I mean, not only did they get SGA, but they got all of their picks for like, you know, that they could get. Like that is the single greatest trade in the history of the NBA, in my opinion. I mean, the guy's the MVP of the finals, the MVP of the Western Conference Finals, the MVP of the league. And so, you know, so it's, you know, it is what it is. But this is a very talented team. We won 51 games. Like, let's not forget, we're 6 wins away from the NBA championship, guys. This is not a lottery team. Like,
right.
We need to remember that this is a very good basketball team that has a chance to be an even better basketball team just by making a few simple changes.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of reason for optimism and hope.
My heart medication.
Oh, yeah, I had to up my heart medication anyway. After this show, because AD keeps giving me, he doesn't know he's not here long. I have PTSD, AD. So when you do this stuff to me, it's like you're just like shocking my system. I'm going to shut down mid-show, and I may have to call the ambulance and get me out of here.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I just, when you've been through, as yourself, as Steph, when you've seen so many of these wars and you just, you know, you pray for tranquility, stability, you know, just, okay, fine, we did that. The coach let go. Doesn't mean everything has to be for naught.
Right.
Doesn't mean everything has to go away. Let's just, come on now. Come on. Let's stay the course. Let's look at the people, the competitors within our division. Did you wake up the other morning thinking that Boston was going to get up off of Holiday's contract? 4 years remaining at $100 and whatever million for a 36-year-old? That Portland seems to be just enamored by. They keep trading for this guy. Did you think that they were going to be able to flip and move like that so quickly?
I do think Brad Stevens has pictures or something of that Portland GM because he's fleeced him on that twice now on both ends. Like, it's like crazy.
Absolutely. But that's a team that looks like they have their ducks in a row. Right? Devastating injury to their superstar player. Devastating. But what do? Get up, keep it moving. They trade Porzingis, who has an ailment from what we don't know, nor do I care. But guess what? They were able to flip him, keep it moving. Business as usual. We just need to be in that. That's just my thing. I don't want to lose that business as usual mentality.
Right.
Like, come on now. Are we here to be gossip? Are we going to gossip on the lack of communication and this, that? Can you imagine Tatum coming out in the middle of the year and saying this, that, and the third? No, that wasn't the focus. The focus is winning the championship again. That's just my thing about the Knicks. Like, let's just stay, as you said, 6 games away from winning the championship.
Right.
So let's get back there.
Yeah. Last question. Is it championship or bust next season?
I think it's always championship or bust for me. It's just going to feel a little, I'm just going to be more so in the wait and see mode than I was even this past year. But it's until we win it, championship or bust.
I think it's NBA Finals or bust because I'm not sure that we're better than Oklahoma City. But if you get to that next step, right? Because look, the reason that you got rid of Thibodeau was to make a step forward, right? And so to me, if you're going to make that move, then you have to take a step forward. And there's only 2 steps we can take at this point. One is a 2-game step and the other is a 6-game step, right? So there's not a lot of wiggle room. I mean, they made it clear the goal for this team is to win a championship. And so if that's the case, I think NBA Finals at a minimum.
Fair.
And if you get there, you might as well win it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you. Finals or bust. Because basically what you're saying is we have the team. We just didn't have the coach. We're going to go get the coach so that we can go further than we went this year. That's basically what you're saying. So DJ Shuttle said finals or bust. Okay.
Listen to that man. All aboard.
Yeah.
All aboard. Absolutely.
Cody said finals or bust. Yes. Finals or bust. Okay. Gotcha. I would agree with that. Yeah. Finals or bust. I think that's a lot to put on a coach. This is his first year here, but listen, as a front office, you better be sure because this is the last coach you're gonna get to pick anyway.
Wow.
Oh, for sure. I think that's accurate.
Wow. Whoo. Not that I disagree with you, but you see what I'm saying? This is how things go for us. So now the flames are so hot right now. Okay? So God forbid we don't win it next year. We're not in the finals. We get knocked out of the Eastern Conference Finals. Is that what we're doing?
I'm not saying that if the front office is going to get let go if we don't go to the finals next year. I'm saying this is the last coach they will hire. If this coach doesn't get it done, whether it's in 2 years, 3 years, or whatever, I don't think this front office gets another opportunity to hire another coach. This coach better be the one that delivers the chip.
And context always matters too.
Year, but I'm just saying they got it. I don't think they're gonna get another. I could be wrong. I just don't think they'll get another opportunity. Your thoughts, Jeff? AD?
Yeah, I agree with that premise. Go ahead, AD. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just.
I think context matters. I mean, if they suffer a catastrophic injury or something like that, then I don't think you can hold them to the same standard. But if this team is healthy throughout the playoffs, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be able to at least get as far as they did last year. Because I think even in the series that we won, I kind of felt like we underachieved. Didn't you, AD? Like, I thought the Pistons series went a lot longer than it should have. And we handled Boston, but,
I mean, whether it was 6, 5, 7, when it was over for me. I didn't look back and say, well, we should have beat them in this, that, and the third. I was just happy with it. I thought them playing Detroit was like a certain kind of toughness that we didn't see them do throughout the year. Because 1, it's playoffs. 2, Detroit just ramped it up, right? I was happy. When I walked out after that win, I was like, you know what? We've seen a lot. We've seen big shots at the end of the game. We've seen toughness out of Cat. We've seen Bridges hit, come up with a clutch tip in. We had a little bit of everything. When we get into Boston, boom, game 1, I'm tickled to death. After game 2, You couldn't tell me we weren't going to win the NBA Finals.
No, you know, when I thought after the way they played in Game 6 defensively, I said they finally got it. You can play defense like this, you can win a chip. The Knicks are so inconsistent defensively, man. It's just
See, that's just my thing, and I don't want to put that on as much as issues I've had with management in the beginning. You know, if we don't win it next year, or better yet, if this is when we say this is the last coach, so if this coach doesn't win it next year, and what, he's up and out after next year? No, I'm just using hypothetical.
Year, but however many years there is. I mean, listen, this is another issue I have with the Knicks, and like I said, I was in agreement with the Tibbs firing. But winning a championship is a process. Like this idea that, you know, coach is going to come in 1 year and you're going to win a chip. Like it's a process to it. You got to give the coach a few years, you know. But what I'm saying is, whatever that is, 3 years, 4 years, if the Knicks don't win it in this 3-4 year, whatever timeline it is, I don't think the front office comes back. I don't think they're going to get an opportunity to fire whoever the coach is and hire another one. Even if it's 3 years down the line, I just don't think so. James Dolan is like, yo, first of all, knowing Dolan, if we get put out, if we lose in the second round next year, they might be out.
Yeah. And that's the problem.
He gets like that sometimes.
Amen.
And that's the problem, because he doesn't have another project that he can go and put his stamp on for another 3, 4, 5 years. And this is his, you know what? This is his team. He's all right to meddle and this, that, and the third. We get it. But I would caution you to take a step back. Look at what transpired over this past playoff season. The ruckus from the fans. Last year as well. Like, when the lights are off, and the lights are off in May and June, it's the worst thing possible for a Knicks organization. Even if you don't win it, would you rather not the lights still be on? Still be in contention? You want to go backwards? Because who's to say you just bringing someone else means that in today's NBA, stars are telling you, I don't care if I just signed this contract or not. I want out. I don't care if you have a second apron attached to this or not. I want out. And when they want out, they normally get out. So you have to be careful where you're going with this. Because if you begin to alienate JB, like I heard someone say, well, his father's not going to be a part of the staff. You want to bet? You want to bet that?
Nope.
Okay? Because the moment you start alienating him and his inner circle, guess what? Do what a star does. I want out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
In the words of Grant Newman, play like Roy Rogers and slow down. You know what I mean? We gotta just take a breath. We really do. We really do, and hope and pray for the best.
Yeah. We'll see. Might be an emergency podcast tomorrow.
We're gonna get the red alert.
But you're right about alienating Brunson, because the support he gave Thibodeau at the press conference, I thought Thibodeau would be back. And they fired him unless he was capping at the press conference, right? And but I think he was sincere in that. Then, what if the new coach doesn't want his father on the staff, right? Coaches usually pick their staff. Sometimes front offices do meddle in that.
Make him a peanut vendor. I don't care.
I don't care.
I
don't care what his new role is. The moment you begin to alienate the people he trusts, okay, this could look a whole lot different.
Yeah.
Do you want to take that chance?
You can keep Brunson in the organization and not have him on the bench, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
Yeah, but that's his first guy. That's the guy who notices your shot looks off. Who's the first person does he confer with when he comes off the bench? When he's coming in, off the court. It's his father's either whatever, tweaking here, there, whatever, because that's who he's comfortable with. You all of a sudden are gonna take out my, boxing terminology, you're gonna take out my Angelo Dundee.
oh, that's a good one, because that ruined Tyson.
Okay, you're gonna take out the person that I had the most faith in.
Right.
I'm gonna I may start to look differently at your organization.
Yeah. Listen, AD. Now you're starting to, now I'm starting to have thoughts like, I hope this doesn't unravel. Listen, I want to try to stay hopeful.
I'm hopeful. I'm there with my fan base. I'm there with my Knicks fans. Knicks fans know I love this team.
No, no doubt. I'm just
I've lived it so many times in so many scenarios. It's like, come on, come on now. Come on. Let's get it together. Come on, Dolan. Let's not walk down this. Let's not do this again where we're looking for Eddie Curry to find his shoes in summer league. Let's not get the franchise back there again.
Oh boy. He already yeah. But him and Leon Rose is tight, so I think he's gonna be okay. Rick Brunson is Herb Williams as long as Jalen is here.
Okay, now.
Oh boy.
Good old Herb.
Yeah.
Company man.
Yep. He probably still works for the Garden in some capacity.
I'm sure in some capacities, loyalty.
Loyal to folks like that, though. He loves him some Isaiah Thomas and some Herb Williams and like.
Now, I didn't do that stuff. That was Jeff. I didn't. No, the fan base is the worst thing in the last 30 years. That wasn't me. That was not me. Okay, that was not me. Let the record show. No, sir. But
DJ Shuttle said, "Low key, I'm concerned. This is the beginning of the downspin. I think we're gonna be. I think we're gonna be okay. I think we're gonna be okay.
I'm just I think we have reason for concern. And it's not that we're looking for them to talk to us every day. Just a little something here every 6 months. Just a little something. Just a reassure the fan base. A little something. Nothing crazy. That's it. That's all we're asking for. Just kind of let us feel like, okay, this is the trajectory that we're going, and it's still a positive. Yes, the whatever they put out, we were mission to the championship and blah 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 blah. We get that, but it's words, written words. So where do we go from here?
I'm going to bed.
We're leaving off on the Isaiah. That was Jeff put it out there. Look, Jeff, you're gonna have to do. You may have to do an article on that whole Isaiah time just to make up for that. You may have to do something with that, Jeff.
That was painful.
Oh God.
That was painful.
Many a night.
Yeah.
Many a night. But we'll leave it there. Thank you very much. I'll be closing out.
Yep. Any last words?
So, AD, you got to check out my article on Saturday. I give you a shout out.
I certainly shall. I certainly shall. Thank you. I will do. I will do. Absolutely.
It's my series on Ewing versus the other great Knicks. It's a 7-part series. If y'all are interested in Knick history, I just my own perspective. I try and use the numbers wherever I can. And there's sometimes when they're useful and sometimes when they're not. Part 1, it just talks about how great Ewing is, and then I go on to compare him with some of the greatest players I consider in the organization, except for Bernard King. I love Bernard King, but I didn't think he was a Knick long enough to have him in the conversation. But
he already doesn't want me to read this.
I love Bernard King.
I get it. 204 games is not a lot. I get it.
Yep, it's not. But thank you, Queen, for another. This was just some inside baseball. This is going to be an hour-and-a-half show, y'all. It's just like we're going to get in an hour and a half. We're going to be in. We're going to be out. I only have one question, and we're done. And she's going to the Bahamas and all this stuff.
I did say that. I put the link in the private chat. I don't know if you can see it, AD, the link for his article. If you could cut and paste it, or
yes,
you could go right to it.
Oh yeah, I got that.
Yeah. I did say that, Jeff. I came on. I'm like, this has been a long week. Listen, I only work 2.5 days a week. It was a long week. I was like, we're gonna do this show. I only got 2 questions. We're gonna talk about Mitchell Robinson trade. We're gonna talk about Mikal Bridges trade. Hour and a half. We should be out of here.
And now nobody who listens to the show is gonna sleep because I said the IT word.
This is what
they're all old fans. They all remember. They're all like,
this feels like how I found Sin and Nothing But Knicks years ago.
Yeah,
just working overnight, while I'm frustrated.
Yeah,
and I just happened to click, and I was like, wow, there's other Knicks people right now talking about the Knicks.
Right.
You know what I mean? In the middle of a August night at work, and I was like, wow, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So it's just what it is. It's the passion. The one thing about the fan base, I will say, is that we love this team.
Yeah, facts.
We're passionate about this team.
Much more than they love us.
Much more than they love us at the end of the day. Much more. Sleepless nights, not eating.
Yes.
Not eating. Late for work.
Gray hair.
Oh, the gray hair.
Yeah. Listen,
blood pressure through the roof. Worn out carpet, but pacing back and forth.
Yeah. Plus to Houston, I didn't go to work for a couple of days. Like I had to get myself together after that. And you're right. The next day, you be like, yo, how did so-and-so miss that shot? Like, come on. Like, it's the next day. All of these things are, You
can't sleep because all those things are going through your mind. Like, you can change them, right? We have a sickness, y'all.
Right.
It's a sickness. I'm telling you. It's an addiction that's not curable.
Yeah. We love this team. This is just who, this is just who we are.
Amen.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Anyway, thank you again, Steph, for the invite. Salute to Knick Nation. Certainly will pop in again. I'll keep the glass half full instead of half empty next time. But it's always love. Thank you all again.
Always. That's a forever link. So whenever we on, it's that same link.
Okay.
You can hop on.
But I love you guys, and sometimes I want to pop in with it, but when I watch you guys with AJ, salute AJ, and you guys are like really like have a nice ebb and flow, and it's important to have an ebb and flow. You don't necessarily want to just pop in and
it's anytime.
There ain't nothing wrong with adding a little avocado to your sub. That's already good, my friend. Ain't nothing wrong with adding a little bit extra flavor.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we got people like Trey from Barbershop. What is it? Barbershop?
Barbershop Sports.
He'll pop on for like 20, 30 minutes, say what he got to say. He'll pop off. So it's fine.
All right.
You pop on, you can stay. You can pop on because you want to share something about this segment. It's all cool. Once you got the keys, you got that link, you got the keys. You can come in anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you, and you add to the show as well. You up the level of the show. Jeff always up the level of the show. I've been pretty blessed when I decided to start this channel. That people, if I ask somebody to come on the show, I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, wow, he said yes. So it's been good. It's been really good. I appreciate you,
Absolutely. Thank you.
AD and Jeff. But they could tell them where they can catch you.
I'm sorry, me?
Yeah, where they can catch you on Blanche Tears.
Oh, well, I haven't been on in a second.
Really?
You know, I haven't. It's been a minute. It's been a little minute. I haven't been on since the end, somewhere maybe in the beginning of playoffs or something. There's been a lot going on and so forth. So, stay tuned. You never know. I may be popping up in another, network and so forth. Stay tuned.
Right. Well, you're always welcome here for sure.
Thank you.
What's the name of the show you and Freezy would do?
Old School Knicks.
Old School Knicks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I lost my Jeff, you'll never get over IT. You'll never get over that, sir. Absolutely.
No, I won't.
You again.
Oh, was there a super chat? I'm sorry. Oh,
There were a couple of them, actually.
a leap has to come
Bounty.
from our young core because of the aprons. Yeah, I hear you on that. Our new coach will elevate our youth to contribute. I mean,
Hopefully.
contributing is one thing. Relying on them is something totally different. You know what I don't understand? What's the big effing deal about the young guys playing? Like if you're telling me from a salary cap perspective, we're not going to be able to make it unless we play these young guys. So we have to. I get it. That part I could get. But
I've
that's
got
not,
the answer if you want it, Queen. I can tell you.
Oh, give me 1 second. To me, that's not even what it's about. Knick fans are so effing enamored with young guys. So if the Knicks win the chip, does it matter if Daddy A or Kolick played? It doesn't matter. So people are like, oh, you hate the kids. No, I like winning.
Exactly.
And I understand that if you're winning a championship, yes, you can have a young player play spot minutes in the playoffs. But if you're winning a championship, rarely do you have I'm not saying ever, young player that you are counting on to come through for you in the playoffs. That's what I'm talking about. And when you're talking about playing Kolick behind Brunson, you counting on him in those non-Brunson minutes. When you say you want to play Hawkporty behind Towns, you're counting on Hawkporty in those non-Towns minutes.
Absolutely.
So this is what I don't understand about Knick fans who getting on me that I don't like the kids. I want a chip. And to me, winning a chip and relying on inconsistent players don't go together. So I want to know, and maybe we can get State or somebody else on here to explain to me, what the fuck is the big deal with these young players that they have to play? If it's a salary cap issue, tell me it's a salary cap issue. But I don't think that's what it is. I think Knick fans just want to see a homegrown Knick pick contributing somewhere. Like, it's such a big deal to Knick fans. I don't get it. Win the damn chip. You win the chip with experienced players. Bottom line. I don't get it. Spot minutes, fine. You know, you need somebody gets into foul trouble, they're the next person up, fine. But this idea that Kolick should be the backup to Brunson next year is beyond me if you talking about winning a championship. If that's a risk you want to take, that's a risk you want to take in the non-Brunson minutes with a second-year player because he has a good skill set. That's the chance you want to take with your chip opportunity. With Milwaukee with injuries, Indiana with injuries, Boston with injuries. You want to take a chance with Kolek behind Brunson. Man, listen, I need the Knicks to lock this shit down. Lock it down. Get us a point guard behind Brunson that's going to run the show when he ain't in there and run it effectively and could possibly play with him at times so he could play off the ball, because I think we'll unleash another level of Brunson off the ball as well.
Yes.
He could play off the ball.
Yes.
That's what I need the Knicks to do. I'm not saying don't play Hawkporty, but you better damn near bring in a veteran backup center to Karl Anthony Towns. And then whatever Hawkporty minutes get is going to be behind that.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell, you're not firing the coach saying you're trying to win a championship. We got all these injuries in the Eastern Conference, so the road is clear. And how you holding it down is playing Kolek behind Brunson and Hawkporty behind Town. You're not going to sell me that you're serious about winning a chip next season if that's what you do. Bottom line. You want now, I'm all for the front office. I don't have a problem with the front office up to this point. I didn't agree with everything they did. But if they do that,
okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Got a super chat now, Queen.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll answer.
Aunt Man, formerly known as Steve, I appreciate you. Damn, I took a nap, just woke up and joined the show, and y'all got Queen cursing because y'all want to play the young kids over winning. Draft over. Focus on the coach and bench improvement and bring these guys along. Play them spot minutes. I'm not talking about spot minutes. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about if a guy is the 9th or 10th man in the rotation and they're getting 10 minutes a game. That is great. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about putting them in the 6th, 7th, and 8th position, and you relying on those guys to be consistent and come through for you every game. Come on, that's a lot to ask. But if Kolek is getting 10 minutes a game as the 9th player off the bench, I'm good with that. Daddy A is getting 8 minutes a game off the bench. I'm good with that. Daddy A is the first person off the bench? Nah. No. We trying to win a chip right now. That's it. Anyway, that's my spiel, family. You see my voice is... I'm
scared to talk now.
Y'all ain't helping my voice right now.
At all.
Just remember, Queen.
Yes, Jamrock. Because it's not about who's playing. Can Hawkporty hold up in the lights of the finals is what I'm talking about. And if Hawkporty is that much better than your veteran big man, then you didn't get the right one. You didn't get the right one. That's my concern, is that when the lights are the brightest, they might wilt a little bit. That's my concern. It's not hate. It's about the Knicks winning this chip and wanting to assemble the best roster possible so that when those lights get brighter and these teams are playing this tremendous defense where even Josh Hart, Towns, and Brunson is struggling, but you expect a rookie to come in and consistently not have a good playoff game. That's not what I'm talking about. Consistently show up for you in the playoffs. Come on, family. Like, we asking a lot. We asking a lot.
We don't care. It's the Hive syndrome. Remember Frank?
That's when I came into this community on Frank.
You did it again.
I didn't get it.
I had to top you. Remember Frank without relish?
Tied his shoe. Did you see how he tied his shoe with the knot? Oh, he ready. I mean, come on.
That man almost postered KP one night. And the almost poster was going around. Like, you realize he didn't make the shot, right? It just was a good-looking move in the lane. That was it. But his hive just thought he was gonna. Remember the France competition a few years ago when he goes out there and he shuts down Kemba Walker? Did you see him shut down Kemba Walker?
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't. Why? Because those games aren't important to me. And we, as a fan base, we lock into guys that we drafted like they all are Ewing. It's just not. It's just not the reality. Not because we drafted them means that they're going to spend the next 15 years here.
Right.
Like this, it's nonsense. But anyway.
Yeah. I don't get it. Call it haterade, call it whatever you want. I don't get it.
Hope is belief in things not seen, Queen. And that's all it is. It's hope. It's hope that these people. Oh my goodness!
We got another
Art man. Are you kidding me?
Remember what Greg said? Hope will drive a man insane.
Yeah. The Art Man, formerly known as Steve. The East is wide open. This year is definitely championship or bust. Might have to package some of your favorites to do it. This is what Ajay was telling us Monday. And I'm okay with that, especially if it leads to a championship. Peace and blessings. You got to go all out. You got to put together the best roster you can, given the limitations of the CBA. You can't leave any stone unturned. You can't leave anything to chance. And you know what? Hoping Robinson stays healthy you can put that in of leaving it.
Chance.
You might.
Damn sure in community chest. That's chance.
If you take in that perspective, right? We can't take that chance. I mean, come on. Anyway, I appreciate you guys listening to my rant.
That's great. That's Shuttle had it right. We need to clip that, and that needs to be the new intro to the show. That's how good that was.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just don't get it. And literally, I mean, like, I'm not even being like, I don't understand it. But AD, again, I appreciate you. Jeff, again, I appreciate you. Paris Duggar with the super chat. Artman, formerly known as Steve, with the super chat. Everybody else who came in here, and the chat was rocking
always
tonight. And you guys are on point in the comments as well. Always on point, always on topic. And we've reeled it in now. It's like very respectful commentary, right? There's no trolling anymore. You guys are on point. That's why I love you guys. We'll be back Monday for another 90-minute show.
The live stream says 2 hours and 52 seconds. 2 minutes and counting.
I'm about to play the long video, but I'm letting y'all know I'm cutting it short. I got to get up out of here. I appreciate you.
You tune in, that means you're feeling the vibe. Feel that? The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Right now. Please pull over the whip, no